Let's head straight down as we finished our Michelin countdown to green to Andrew Marriott with the pole sitting team, Wayne Taylor Racing.
Certainly I'm with a man who's won this race as a driver, he's won the race as a team owner. Wayne Taylor on the pole, but it's only the start. And this is just what we live for.
Yeah, exactly. They took me in, and then they decided not to leave me out. So for 45 minutes, I know stuff was pretty rough in there.
Thanks very much. Well, adrenaline always helps.
It was recalcitrant to get started. Didn't actually roll until about halfway through the GTD field, and then waited for all the rest of those cars before it exited the pit lane. So the 55 Mazda will not be starting from its position, but at least it is starting.
So drama early, but not terminal drama for the 55 Mazda Yost racing car. Let's get used to seeing that. The States, then it's Fox now, the big network channel, and then they'll have a mixture of FS1, FS2, and following the field round the white headlights of the prototype category with just a little gap, and now the hammer goes down as the green flag is waved, and Van der Zande in the glossy black number 10 with the blue roof heads down towards the first corner, brakes, turns in, round the outside. That looks like the Penske. It was a little bit challenged there, the Acura, but has held on to second position. Philippe Albuquerque was looking very racing indeed in the red Cadillac, but he's dropped back. So it's Penske in second, the Acura behind the Wayne Taylor Cadillac. Tristan Vautier got a good run through there as well. The red-white car, the 31, Philippe Nasser up to 4th position as they head down to the far side of the infield for the first time.
Yeah, Philippe Nasser, who's going to be driving for that, you go around the outside, he goes there. I say that is a bit brave on the opening lap of the Rolex 24.
I see he's feeling confident there, Jeremy.
Well, he is.
He's got the tyres underneath him.
And he's out to make a point too. He's going to be in for the full season with that team this season. Stepping in for Dane Cameron, of course, left to go to Team Penske. And Felipe didn't have a chance in qualifying to show what he could really do because of an electrical problem on that car. So now he's out to put that car where he believes he should have been from the start of this race.
Steven Simpson in another red car. And I'm going to have to get used to that as well, of course. He's made a good start as well through the bus stop for the first time, and already the leaders are out of the back straight chicane that was put in some years ago because of the extreme speeds from the prototypes of those days, pulling well over 220 miles an hour, and the tyre companies back in that era worried about the stresses and strains on the tyres, pulling just under 200 miles an hour as they go underneath us now. And Renger van der Zande leads the first lap of 2018 season from Helio Castroneves by 0.2 of a second. Nasser up to 3rd position in the 31 Wheeler car. Then Albuquerque, Vautier, Patricio O'Ward, Jonathan Bomarito, Robin Frange, and Dane Cameron, and Colin Brown in the 54 Core Autosport. ORECA is the top 10 in GTLM. It's the two Chip Ganassi racing cars, 66 from 67. Then Jan Magnussen, the pole sitter, down into 3rd for Chevy Corvette. Lawrence Vanter in the 912 Porsche in 4th position. Then Tony Villander for Racing Competizione, the 62 Ferrari, and Ollie Gavin makes up the top 6 in the GT Daytona category.
And they're just edging clear very slightly, but the battle's on here for 2nd and 3rd. A hard-charging Felipe Nasser wanting to get by Helio Castroneves at his earliest opportunity to ensure that Renger van der Zande doesn't disappear up the road too much in the early stages. 0.2 of a second was the gap.
The lap that gave him pole position. Turn 5, missed his braking point, went too wide. So just hit the throttle hard and was astounded to find that he'd made time, not on what he would call a conventional racing line. And it was 0.007 of a second, enough to give him pole position and nip it away from Helio Castroneves. Confirmation that the Wright Motorsport Porsche has gone behind the wall after contact with something or somebody, and we haven't been able to confirm at the moment whether that was wall or other car.
Yeah, because whatever it hit, he hit hard because there was an awful lot of damage. So either the back end of somebody else's car is struggling, or he put it in the fence somewhere. I mean, conceivably, I suppose the pit lane exit. Well, no, it was a right hand. It was a left side. There's a 31 car edged off the road there, giving no room at all by Elio Castro.
A couple of moments ago, that,
yeah.
Jeremy. Been very impressive this week. Very impressive full stop since we've seen him come into the IMSA series.
Absolutely magnificent. I mean, for a youngster, he's quite remarkable. Just 18 years of age, from Monterrey, Mexico. He's at school, has been for several years in San Antonio in Texas. Started off in open wheel racing, of course. Actually did some racing in Europe in the French F4 series and racing Pro Mazda over here. Last year, however, he made the switch into prototype cars in the PC Challenge. All of the 8 races that the PC class were in last season, he set the fastest lap of the race. That's no mean feat, is it? The youngster is a star. He's going to be driving also this year, and his main priority is going to be the Indy Lights Championship for Andretti Autosport. But right now, his focus is with Performance Tech Motorsports.
Battle for second position coming into the tri-oval, and the red number 31 gets alongside, getting a bit of side draft now underneath us, side by side across the line. Maybe the wheeling car and nose in front, but he's on the wrong side of the racetrack to make that pass stick, and on the inside it is just for a moment held up. In fact, Felipe Nasr was scored in second position when he went across the line. He did have the red nose of the Cadillac in front, and now Elio Castro Neves having to defend as he comes out the international horseshoe, tries to get the power down, goes wide, chance for Nasr to go to the right hand side. Remember guys, there's 23 hours and 51 minutes still to go. This is being raced at the moment, Johnny Palmer, as if it was a cars ahead. So the Porsche down to 5th, Tony Vilander in the GT Le Mans Ferrari, the 62 car, in 6th position. Let's head down to the pit lane. Andrew Marriott with another legend. Not just our Andrew, who is a legend on the pit lane, the captain, Roger Penske, with this Continental Tire pit lane report.
I certainly am. I'm on the second story up here. I've climbed the ladder to speak to Roger. Roger, it's very loud in it. Another great sports car season for you. I mean, obviously it goes all the way back to the Sunoco Ferrari. This is a great new program.
Well, it was hard to hear you, Andrew, but we're glad to be here. It's a great venue for this kind of racing, and it's been a long time since I've had the opportunity. Very well. It's a credit to everybody involved.
Roger, on Friday I sent the text of the David Hobbs book to the printers, and you're in it big time, of course.
Would you repeat it again? I couldn't hear it.
Yeah, on Friday I sent the text of the David...
Johnny in GT Daytona.
GT Daytona was being led by Miguel Molina
and still is
by 0.8 of a second from Daniel Serra. The two Ferraris having it a little bit their own way, but Jack Hawksworth is staying in touch.
The Daytona car, a couple of laps ago, it was Patricio O'Ward, we were just talking about it, wasn't it, who set the fastest lap of the race. That's since been eclipsed by number 31 car on the last couple of laps. So it's Felipe Nasr with a 138.258, currently the fastest car on the track, and trying to edge closer again to Renger van der Zender in car number 10.
Side by side with Tristan Vautier trying to come around the outside here of the number 7 car of Elio Castro Neves. Castro Neves a little bit on the back foot then, with the 90 car having to go from one side to the other. Was there even a touch there into the first corner? It was only side to side. A little bit of a lock-up there for Vautier as well as he tried to get the car stopped. Castro Neves, a handful in the Acura for the number 7 car, purely because he's now got to get through all this GTD traffic on the infield, with the 90 car of Vautier snapping at his heels. Patricio O'Ward also able to draw up to the back of those two cars now from 6th position, and a potential for the 38 to get into the top 5 before the end of the lap.
Yeah, and all of a sudden the top 3 have pulled clear, haven't they, by the tune of 2.5 seconds with Tristan Vautier now making the Cadillac 1, 2, 3, 4. Elio Castro Neves is, he won't be worried about that, nor will the Acura Team Penske. But certainly interesting, isn't it, to see the Cadillacs already moving to the front.
So early parts of the race, we are 15 minutes in, and we can take another Continental Tire pit lane report with Spencer Piggott and Shea Adams.
Spencer, it was a bit of a worry when all the other cars began to roll off the grid, but the 55 Mazda did get going. What was it that was wrong with your car?
Yeah, it's obviously not what you want to see. I think Jonathan just had a little trouble selecting first gear, but...
more than adequately replaced him, I think. Both Sheldon van der Linde and his brother Kelvin both in the same car, so we'll have to make sure we get the right van der Linde in there. Two smashing lads, had a chat with them down at the Audi Boardwalk Club earlier on today. Hello to all of you down there. And IMSA radio staff popping in to see you at various times throughout the process. Battles in GT Daytona with the 59 of Sven Muller, and Sam Bird's Ferrari has sneaked up the inside in the braking area towards the back straight chicane, the bus stop. Oh, a little bit of a wiggle by Muller. Now, was that intimidatory, or was it just a little mistake? May have just started to lock the left front there as he was coming into that.
His competitor, although here, of course, not the same category.
Yes, he's a great competitor. We're great friends, but we both want to beat each other all the time. It's a cold war between us. It's an arms race.
Do you think there'll ever be a Ford DPI?
You never know.
You never know, and he's got a smile on his face.
Well done, Andrew. Rumours persisting of an announcement coming shortly from Ford, coming to the end of their GT programme, the original commitment coming to an end, and the rumours persist of Project Phoenix, the Ford DPI, and Chip Ganassi in perfect position to be able to take that up should that be confirmed. There are a couple of new manufacturers on the horizon. IMSA Radio and IMSA TV, part of the Radio Show Limited network of channels, with trackside at Daytona International Speedway a moment or two ago. Just a little touch. 99 on 23. Steve Simpson on Fernando Alonso. Bit of a hip check from the Formula One pilot, and Simpson's going down the inside again as they're into the braking area, and he's gone through for a positional change there.
With 13 laps in the books, we've got distinct manufacturer advantage at the moment. Cadillac out in front, already nearly 4 seconds clear of Helio Castroneves, who's at least split up that dominance again. He got back ahead of Tristan Vaudier 3 or 4 laps ago, having lost that place, lap record pace, which was a 36.2 last season. They're lapping in, well, low 38s when they have clear traffic, as we see two Cadillacs side by side across the line. The number 5 car just nosing ahead across the start-finish line and gets that position, second place into turn 1. So Philippe Albuquerque ahead now of Felipe Nasser, and
they're not going to do tires, but they are going to give him fuel while it is stationary. Pulled the nose off, and now they're checking the suspension bits that they can see. Nothing loose, that's the good news. They brought the new nose over the wall, the thumbs up has been given, new nose will be put on, and Alex Brendel will be sent back out with a lot of fuel. This should extend his window.
Well, I'm down at the number 10 Wayne Taylor Racing garage, and a bit of activity here now. You just see it in the body language of the guys getting ready for the pit stop. I don't think it's going to be for another couple of laps yet.
All their own, they're now enjoying a 7-second lead over the next best car in GTD. That's the number 14 Lexus.
Let's take this Continental Pit Lane report and update on that 23 Fernando Alonso United Autosport car. 14th position now for that car, Shane.
I just checked in with the crew. They gave me 2 thumbs up when I asked, is everything okay with the...
One is already going in, and then the car is off the jack still.
once we get the race underway, because we had the 2 pace laps before the start of this race, that really explains why the pit stall is coming in now on lap 20.
Fuel only for the number 99, no driver change, not even a drinks bottle for Steven Simpson. And the sister car, the 85, the Banana Boat, is on the pit lane as well. Fuel only for them, as there was a race off the pit lane between the Spirit of Daytona, one of the Penske's. Now we have the Performance Tech heading out in front of the other Penske.
Mustang something is just taking fuel, and that'll be carrying away. There it goes. Fabulous. Come on.
55 Mazda comes in, and they are doing fuel and tires for the car that was recalcitrant to leave because it was having trouble selecting first gear. Fernando Alonso is in for his first pit stop in the number 23, fuel and tires for United Autosport. And as for Core Autosport, their first pit stop in a prototype for a year now, they have come in doing fuel and not tires.
One of the tires at every pit stops for the prototypes.
Yeah, and what they might do is recycle them, not necessarily do a double stint on them, but get them off, clean them off, and then put them on again later on. They'll keep looking at them and be assessing how much. Daytona, it is still that number 82 car, Molina leading by about 1.3 seconds. Dominic Baumann in third.
Yeah, it's falling off. The Lexus are really struggling.
It's gone down to 7th position, and they haven't stopped.
He lost 2 places on 1 lap, and that's because the 2 Audis of Andy Lally and and Van der Linde have been nose to tail lap
And
after
Sam
lap.
Bird's gone through
Well,
as well.
Sam's come from behind Hawksworth to get past.
Spoke with Troy Fliss, the man behind the effort last night. Very happy to be back with GM and Cadillac, and has really been welcomed into the fold. He's in a unique position, I think, Jeremy, in terms of how many of the prototype chassis he's had, not always by choice.
That comes off, put the new one in. I don't think there's a problem there. The car, of course, dropping down the order all the time.
That would be the number 24. This one has red in its grille. This one has blue. The 25 has red in its grille. The Porsche is done. BMW just taking a little bit longer for the fueling, as identical it was for the number 25. Fuel is done. 24 BMW makes it out of the pit box. Clean exit.
And we have had one of the leading GTD thing, because the Grappa racing machine just made a pit stop, and that is now back on the pit lane, so that we expect a flurry of GT cars to follow.
Thank you, Andrew. 25 BMW having rejoined, getting back up to speed. Meantime, 4 cars wide, going down to, oh, there's a touch. The 29 Monteplas car just in the meat in the sandwich there between the Ferrari and the Ford. Happened just a few moments ago into the bus stop, and they are all very lucky indeed to get away from that, pointing in the right direction and without any major damage. High speed games of chicken being played out there. Side draft moving the cars around. Remember these GT Daytona cars, faster in a straight line than the GTLM cars, and pulling something in the region of 180 miles an hour. The prototype's pulling over 190, and a problem for the number 20. Oh, goodness me, the bar 1 car has got an issue as it comes round the low side of the race.
They're coming as well.
Continental Tire pit lane reports from Andrew Marriott and Shea Adam. Coming down to the completion of the first hour, and pit stops very much being completed, with all of the top 26 cars now having pitted, prototypes and the top GT cars in both the categories. Joey Hahn staying in the Ferrari. He didn't start that car. Jeremy?
A battle for second place. Number 31 car gets inside the number 10. There were 2 seconds between them going to that lap, but the number 31 car went through, but it then found a GTD car in its path on the way into turn 1. Had to slam on the brakes, and number 10 car with Renger van der Zande.
One left, one right.
Close,
reading the situation very nicely indeed. Renger van der Zande.
Just got to hold your line there when you're being passed. Tristan Fortier, by the way, in 4th position, chasing down the top 3 and chasing down Renger van der Zande. He's under a second behind him now, and he's just put in the new fastest lap of the race, Jeremy.
Indeed, he did the same actually on lap 25, and now here on lap 30, Vautier does the same. It was 38.152 before, now down to the 37s, 137.960, new fastest lap of the race.
And Vautier up ahead now of the 31 of Felipe Nasser, catching him asleep, coming out onto the banking. So the dark blue number 90 car slipping through the gap, wasn't going to be asked twice there, and it's now right on the tail of Renger van der Zande into the braking area for the bus stop.
Who was that going slowly on the infield? That's the Sun One Energy car, the number 75 Mercedes-Benz, and that was very slow indeed. Down on the apron again, going into the bus stop. Dangerous place there, because there's nowhere for you to get through the bus stop without Drew Marriott.
It certainly is. It's come by me with the right front all dipped down, and obviously that was a problem at the pit stop. The wheel probably wasn't put on properly, but I'm sure they'll fix that.
They had a little bit of issue coming into their pit box initially because the 62 Risi Competizione car was leaving. They almost hit the tires, as a matter of fact. Now they have resecured an orange wheel because the wheels on the right side of the car are orange, on the left side are blue. They put it back on, but they just had a little bit of wheel gun issue.
Thanks, Shea. My goodness, it's
Contact at turn 1. Around the outside goes Vautier, and Renger van der Zande was kind of caught unawares there, and there was contact between those two Cadillacs, and right behind him is a number 31 car as well.
Well, Van der Zande was scored in second across the line by 0.042 of a second, but Vautier got the side draft and came back, and there was the briefest and slightest of touches, but both cars continued. It was left rear of Vautier's car to right front of Van der Zande's car, and they're in traffic now. Uh-oh, step back from the fences, everybody. This could get really messy very quickly indeed.
They weren't particularly tight either. Tell you what, this battle, the battle between the second, third and fourth place Cadillacs is allowing Helio Castroneves to haul himself much closer again. We've now effectively got a four-car battle for second place. And currently it's Vautier, Van der Zande, Nasser and Castroneves, 90, 10, 31 and 7. That could change.
It's about Park Place Porsche getting in the mix is their head that works for them. Just watch this battle as it comes through. Here comes Nasser again into the tri-oval, goes to the high side, gets alongside, goes through. Can he get it stopped? He's braked super late. How did he get that stopped? He somehow kept it on the black stuff.
Dry tires, about 2,000 wet. We got some wet predicted for tomorrow as we come close to the close of the 24. So
Dental Tire pit lane report, and into the pit lane is Renger van der Zande after 39 laps. Now, that looks as though he's getting a new set of Continental tyres. They didn't take tyres at the first stop, Jeremy. Is that on schedule or a tiny bit early?
It's around slightly early, but certainly not too much. That was the first car to come into the pit lane first.
But the 23 car's fastest lap of the race in a 1:38.4, and that's a pretty decent lap. It's under half a second away from the best lap of the race, which was a 37.9 by Philippe Nasser. Time for the prototypes at the head of the Rolex Daytona 24. One third-hand information as we're into the pit stops again. In comes Patricio O'Ward, and he's down and away. Lapierre and Albuquerque in from second and first. The Nissan 22 scored in the lead in the pit lane as it crosses the line now, and out gets Nico Lapierre. Andrew Marriott is down there watching pit stops.
And that roar you heard was the Cadillac of the number 5. Fuel and tyres of that no driver change.
It's interesting to see, Jeremy, how many of these teams are leaving the drivers in for double and triple stints here, feeling that they can get some miles under the wheel earlier on. 77 Mazda, Ollie Jarvis brought that car in, and that car hasn't gone out yet.
Left off in the GRT Grasser Racing Lamborghini Huracan. That car now up to 5th place from the back of the field, remember. 21st up to 5th in class now.
Fernando Alonso is in the pit lane in the 23 car. Take some pit reports, an update on the 77 Mazda from Diane.
Just because we led until an hour and a half to go last year comfortably, and unfortunately had an issue which stopped our race. This year we need to put it right.
Very good. Sorry to get that too wrong, mate.
No worries, Andrew. Jeremy, sorry, I stopped you making your point there.
No, yeah, you said that Fernando Alonso was on pit lane. Indeed, he was, along with Jonathan Bomarito. Those two actually scored as a leaders on lap 44. And Alonso has been absolutely charging. Talked about it a while ago. He overtook his teammate.
Sorry, there's a car with a wheel off. Oh, it's the Mazda. Just out of the pits. That's the 77 car, isn't it?
55.
Ollie Jarvis. Is it the
55?
It is the 55, right?
No, what a disaster.
Oh, my goodness me. Sorry, I defaulted to the car that had just come out of the pits. My apologies. And it's the right rear that's...
Yost Racing, huh?
Left rear, is
it was the front tyre, wasn't it? Front left.
Oh, it is. You're right. My apologies, Johnny. And it's... well, that's got a sticker on it as well, so that must have been just out of the pit lane.
Yep.
I thought I saw the sticker on the car, and that's come off completely. And, oh, dear... That looks like a failure on the hub, because I think I can still see, and it was on his outlap into the international horseshoe.
Right out of the pits.
Oh dear. Pit stop.
Yeah, and when he took over, he after the first stint, he was in 16th, moved his way up a couple of positions, but more to the point, he closed up onto that train of cars, which consisted of number 37 Joda car of Robin Freins and the two Mazdas. He was right with those two, having made up quite a deficit before that round of pit stops, and he's still charging hard.
For those of you pin as well that holds that on. I bet that Jonathan was very happy that it happened early on in the lap. Tristan Fortier in second in the blue, number 90, is 3.339 seconds behind. Then it's another 1 1/3 seconds back to Philippe Nasr in the number 31, the red-white wheel and engineering car. Then it is the Renger van der Zande, but he's 9.5 seconds further back. There's big gaps there at the moment. Patricia O'Ward still doing a stellar job, now in 5th position ahead of Paul Durrani.
I don't see why not, because the ORECA in the LMP2 configuration is fighting, I suppose, from the European LMP2 regulations up against this American might of Cadillac, and taking the fight certainly to them, but also
in second, taking off from Helio Castro Neves. But that, to me, and from what the guys were doing, it looked like they were playing with the hasp on the left-hand side door catch, the one by the driver's left arm. And Ricky Taylor is back in the fight. Juan Montoya's gone through. Philippe Albuquerque's just put his fastest lap of the race in, a 1:37.946. And that is 0.002 of a second slower than the fastest lap of the race, which still is held by Philippe Nasr on lap number 36. So the pace picking up again, Jeremy, at the head of the field, and all of a sudden Philippe Albuquerque is back out to 3.3 seconds over Vautier, and 2.2 further back Philippe Nasr. Caddy, 5:90 and 31, your top 3.
Yes, indeed. You know, there's certainly a lot of gaps stretching out here amongst the field in each of the classes. Actually, did we talk about, by the way,
these things down, Joe?
Well, so did I, and I forgot to write that one down, so I'll do that now.
We're men of a certain age.
oh, there's a bit of contact there for the ACURA that has been making its way through the order, with Ryan Eversley at Tolotti left off in the opening stint, as I mentioned before. But the two cars that didn't really do much in the top 10 in GTD in the first stint of the race, the two ACURAs, are both coming through together. Ryan Eversley in 69, Alvaro Parent in 86.
New fastest lap of the race, Philippe Albuquerque. He only did one personal fastest sector, and that was the first sector, which is most of the infield, and a 37.912 on lap number 52 is the best of the race. For furthers, just put the number 10 Cadillac's fastest lap in at a 38 flat, 37.8 for Philippe Nasr, who held the fastest lap until a couple of laps ago. And here he's picking up time as well. So when the cars have got a bit of clear air, they're finding speed at the moment, Johnny Palmer.
That's exactly what it is, I think, because Albuquerque gets a gap, able to push on just a little bit, and then the cars behind find that pocket of space as well. Nose to tail now for the GTD lead, with Jeffrey Schmidt in the white and green.
Porsche also coming in for fuel and tyres. Both BMWs, both the 24 and the 25, have changed drivers and
it was difficult. We'll see how the race progresses, but a sensible start to the race.
It's a circuit of compromise, Daytona. Where do you guys see yourself lacking? Is it the high speed or back?
And actually, I think realising he doesn't have the speed of, for instance, Dominic Baumann and Jack Hawksworth, who are fully pro drivers, and Paul Dall'Anna, the man to step away from Aston Martin for this one-off event with his regular teammates Pedro Lamy and Matthias Lauda. So fascinating to see how those guys are getting on in the 51 Ferrari. But in this phase of the race, when you've got a bronze drive,
that would be Ollie Pla.
Yes, it would. Flat tyre, isn't it?
That's a left rear tyre.
Right rear,
sorry, right rear tyre, yeah. And that's in the pit lane.
But yeah, we suddenly started struggling with downshifts. Came in, I think the guys did their magic with laptops and recalibrated something. And then towards the end of the third stint, once again, I couldn't downshift. And the problem is when you come in the pit lane.
Ferrari, I think it was a fuel overspill. Quite considerable flames coming from the car, but the safety crews quickly onto it. And we've got now a smoke-filled pit apron for the 82 Ferrari. And when the smoke settles, I'll be able to see, along with the team, just what damage that fire has caused.
Always a nasty thing to see, but very quickly dealt with. Still some fire extinguishing going on underneath the engine cover of that 82 Ferrari. And it keeps bursting into flames. Joe Bradley, keep your distance, sir.
Yeah, I am indeed. I have got a fire suit on, so I'm fine. I'm not sure my trainers are fire at all.
He's going to stay in the car or get out. Comes to a halt now. And the tyre changes go to work. No, there's a new driver. And it's a right-hand drive car, that Ligier. That's interesting. It's Phil.
Got in the GT.
You enjoying it, though?
Yeah, I am.
Thank you.
Yeah, straight to the point. Yeah, I am. You just get out. Yes, yes. Right, and I want to go and debrief with my data engineer and find a bit more speed. Joao Barbosa confirmed then at the end of 69 laps as the leader. We'll wait for Matt McMurray to come through in second place. It'll be Ryan Hunter-Reay in the number 10.
Stops. All of a sudden, he's 20 seconds clear of the number 90 car. The number 10 problem for number 2 car, which is still on the lead lap despite that long in lap with the puncture. But number 22, Pipo Derani, really is flying now up into 4th place
for the new BMW M8 GTE.
Yeah, and Di Filippi has right on his tail the second of the Porsches. That's number 912.
Correct. You're listening to RS2 IMSA Radio, part of the Radio Show Limited network of channels. This is John Hindhaugh and the team. We're with IMSA. So 2 hours of the racing has been completed. And Johnny Palmer, your thoughts on that first 120 minutes? Pretty clean, I would have thought, and some pretty decent racing. Quite exciting at the start.
Yeah, I haven't wanted to mention the fact that it's been clean so far. I'll say nothing more, but some sustained running is useful for us to know roughly who is there or thereabouts on speed. Obviously, certain teams have cycled through drivers, otherwise they have tried to keep the consistency.
Land Motorsport Audi that's leading by 11 seconds. In a class where most of the teams, Johnny, have had at least one pro in, for Ben Keating to be holding his own in the top 6 there.
5th and 6th positions in GTD. The 44 car was handed from Andy Lally to John Potter, who's the bronze graded driver. So John doing pretty well to keep that car just inside the top 15. You need to keep it in contention, bearing in mind Marcus Winkelhock and Andrew Davies will have opportunity behind that 44 Audi. So even though it's dropped outside the top 10, it's not out of contention. Meanwhile, is this another problem for one of the Mazdas, Jeremy Shaw, the 77 car this time?
Oh, it's got a right rear puncture. Right rear puncture on that car, so just more ailments.
They were all set a few minutes ago, so lots of dust coming up at the back there, but they're refueling. Obviously, the
There was a driver change there, Joe.
Yes, there was. As you said, that was put off slightly off schedule with its puncture a little while ago. That came in about 3 laps before it should have been in. That car also has done 21 laps since it was last on pit lane.
So the 10 still with Ryan Hunter-Reay at the wheel, back into the race, and has now just been lapped by Joao Barbosa, but the 5 car obviously owes us a pit where the Rolf is encountering the odd bit of traffic here and there, also having to make way for the quicker cars to get through. Whereas Ben Keating in that Mercedes, the 33 Riley Motorsports Mercedes, certainly finding some real estate, getting closer and closer to the top 3, but it's still Jeffrey Schmidt out front. The car started by Sheldon van der Linde, that Audi in the green and white Montoplast colours. Race leader heading through the King back onto the infield and towards the International Horseshoe. Joao Barbosa keeping Matt McMurray at bay by just over 20 seconds. Derani 5.2 behind now, so he's definitely make that Nando Alonso. Ryan Hunter-Reay back in the race, as we say, from the pit stop in 8th. Meanwhile, to the pits is Felix Rosenqvist, who of course had to serve a penalty not too long ago. The Swede up on the banking, the 2nd placed car in GTD, Dominic Farnbacher, about to nip by the 58 machine, which is back out, and I'm pleased to see that. So, warming up lap, would you believe, the green flag lap prior to the race start, and suggested to us was suspension failure, which fired the car into the wall, and the team have worked incredibly hard at Wright Motorsports to get that car fixed and back out again. Sadly for them, they are 58 laps off the class leader, Jeffrey Schmidt, but at least the car has made the race now. For this stint of the race, we've had nearly 2.5 hours of the 56th Daytona 24, the Rolex 24, and you're listening to the pit road, and the cars then circulating on their green flag lap, and all of a sudden we got the message that there'd been huge contact for DAC GT Masters Racing as well. And Robert Renauer continues to be at the wheel of the 58 machine.
Off men, so then we changed the rear, and that seemed to make a bit of difference. They say there's a bit of damage, so obviously in the starting process we've been hit from behind somewhere, and we're just dragging a parachute around the oval. So I'm not sure it's all.
Just to know that it's going to keep going.
Well, you know, lap one of a 24-hour race, and someone misses their braking point and hits the back of you, and yeah, compromises your race. But that's racing, and the guys did a great job to figure out what it was, so we're back in the hunt.
The guys here were quick on it, wasn't it? It was pretty slick the way they turned it around.
Yeah, well, you know, welcome.
Pit stop, but everything looks okay down there.
So yeah, finally a bit of a breather here, and it's really sad to report. It's the number 38 car. I think there's caused this full course caution. Ran so well through the early sit. I hope they just didn't stretch their fuel. The car was just sort of coasting around. I fear it might have run out of fuel because it made its last pit stop on lap 64. It was trying to go 23 laps before making a pit stop, which is...
Hansen, as we said, it was due for a stop, and this caution period plays nicely into the hands of the United Autosports car, number 23. Looking busy up and down the pit road, in fact, for our Continental Tire pit lane reporters. Also got...
It
is.
I'm completely blinded by the headlights of the car. We've had the number 31, that's the Wheeling and the Corvette out. Number 3 spending more time static though than the other GTLM.
Really stay quiet and do your job. But we have a good car, and we are quite focused now for going for the win, for sure, for the race.
Having to come from the back of the field, did that take the pressure off?
Because it's cars that track between the safety car and individual class leaders. That includes half of the GTLM field, actually more than half of the GTLM field, because both Porsches, both BMWs and the number 66.
We're going to go racing once again here then, with the full course yellow done and dusted. There are cars needing to catch up like GTDs, but there is indeed quite a handful of cars between João Barbosa and Pipo Derani as they head across the line. I'm sure Derani will make quick work of those. He cannot afford to allow João Barbosa too far in front as we start lap 93. This is RS2 IMSA Radio bringing you live coverage from trackside of the 56th running of the Rolex 24.
And the safety car was barely off the racetrack when they flew past it, coming up towards the tri-oval there. It's a bit dodgy. Been a bit exciting time there for the pace car. Number 38 car has been resumed, is now in the pits for fuel, so it's lost a couple of laps, but we'll be able to get back out in the race, we believe. I think it was just the lack of fuel. Oof, ouch.
Yeah.
It was a lap on that last round of pits, or probably as a result of that drive-through penalty that he had a little while ago. So it'll be a bit frustrating now for the Pipo Derani, but yeah, that Rosenquist car, number 37, is a very fast car with a very strong driver lineup. So you see one of the Acuras. It's number 54 Autosport entry onto pit lane as well, as there's all sorts of dicing going on amongst the field.
Yeah, it certainly is, and that's the number 90 car of Matt McMurray trying to get back that fight to Ryan Hunter-Ray, the 10 and the 19 side by side. The other thing I noticed, break for the bus stop. There's some slow-moving traffic just ahead, including the 73 Porsche. They can go high and wide of that machine, though. And also there is Simon Pagenaud charging in the ACURA up alongside Ryan Hunter-Reay. He goes low, Ryan Hunter-Reay high, and I think that's the 90 car down to 5th position. Lots of jinking in the order as well for the 31, being driven by Stuart Middleton. Middleton darting up the inside, 18 years old. Great overtake there from Stuart to get up the inside of Ryan Hunter-Reay.
Yeah, and I think, was it Ryan there that was really balked by the number 80 finish line, and a great dive to the inside there to take over that 3rd place by Ryan Hunter-Reay in the defending championship winning car number 10, the Konica Minolta CADILLAC.
So João Barbosa, to an extent, has checked out, but the 6 car then, driven by Simon Pagenaud, ran the outside of Ryan Hunter-Reay for 3rd position. Couldn't make the outside line work, but back up through the inside. Oh, there was a little bit of contact possibly as well for Stuart Middleton in the 31 car, unless that was just debris kicked up. There's the headlight that's not working on the left-hand side of João Barbosa. Lights on the big wheel become more and more prominent as well as João Barbosa goes back across the line. Pipo Derani in the 22 car is 2.5 seconds behind.
Just losing a couple of 3/10 of a second each of the last 2 laps. Don't be too worried about that yet. Sunset, by the way, is set for 5:58, which is 20 as well. So it'll be just 25, half an hour or so, and we'll be pretty much dark out here. And then a long night time stint.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm looking forward to our stints with Rooftop Grey on the live stream, as well as this fabulous attention from the teams down on pit road. But this should be a sustained run now, with the cars fueled and probably with brand new rubber as well. Raring to go for this latest stint of the 56th running of the Rolex 24. The 2 Lexus have been together pretty much all race. They're still there now, 15 and 14, dicing as it is for 11th and 12th positions, Jack Hawksworth and Kyle Marcelli. The race has definitely changed direction in GTD. Lucas Stoltz now at the wheel of the 33 car. We mentioned that Mercedes that was started by Ben Keating. He did a couple of stints, and now there have been dramas for both of the Lexus. This was during the caution, and they were both down on the apron for a little while. And what was this about for the 2 RCFs? Catherine Legg in the number 86 ACURA up to 3rd position, and Rick Brokers in the Lamborghini Huracan number 11 is in 4th place. Meanwhile, on pit road there comes the troubled number 20 machine.
Well, not necessarily troubled. I don't know whether there is trouble. It is going awfully slowly,
Very
isn't
it?
But it certainly hasn't been particularly quick all week long. He was running just ahead number 31 and number 2. And both of those 2 managed to sneak away past on that lap. So it's now Stuart Middleton, the young Englishman, up into 5th position in car number 31.
Yeah, and João just heading out of turn 6 now. Pipo Derani, Ryan Hunter-Reay 6 seconds adrift of the ESM car of the 6. Simon Pagenaud ahead of them. Well, there's a fair bit of traffic, but they should be able to deal with the slower GT cars on the banking section, with the faster cars instructed wrongly. Yes, it is. It's between NASCAR turn 2 and the chicane.
So causing a lot of damage now. That entire carcass has come apart, and he's just limping around, and it's going to cause a lot of damage to the back end of that car. So now both ESM, Tequila Petroleum, Nissans have had a tyre failure. Or damage either.
The cracking fight for 2nd, 3rd and 4th positions, and indeed 5th really, if you account Scott Sharp in that battle, just working its way now around turn 2 of the main oval, as we hear from Joe Bradley down in the Continental Tyre pit lane on the number 22.
Yeah, that right rear tyre cook. They're trying to take the wiring loom off the rear wing deck. They've got a brand new wing deck ready to go on. The aerodynamic pieces on the right-hand side directly behind the wheel as what has been damaged. Brand new kit goes on. Very, very important part of the car.
He's leaving everybody way, way behind. Simon Pagenaud now in 2nd place in the number 6 ACURA. He's almost 20 seconds behind him. We've only done, what, 15 laps since the restart. So that's the 2nd lap. That's a lot at this stage in the race.
The atmosphere building as the night closes in here on Daytona Beach. It's Daytona International Speedway for the 56th running of this Rolex 24, live on RS2 IMSA Radio. Jeremy and Johnny in the 5th floor commentary box. Watch, the gap is already up to 17 seconds as the Portuguese pushes on once more. Meanwhile, Stuart Middleton, after a cracking stint there, it'll be interesting to see whether he stays on board the 31 car, has brought that machine in. Also a stop for Matthew McMurray in the number 90 car. So the Spirit of Daytona racing machine, which was started by Tristan Vautier and taken over by Matt McMurray. Team United Autosports, based in Garforth in Yorkshire in the UK, but American flagged. Paul de Resta back in the race, Phil Hanson back in the race, so neither car having a car. Stuart Middleton in the number 31 car is in 3rd position, and another problem for Risi Competizione, a puncture this time on which car, Cheyenne?
The number 62, it's their GTLM contender. It is a right rear that has gone down. They were already prepared to...
It is because both of Joao Barbosa's headlights fully illuminated now. That's just what you want for the proper night stint. Still a little bit of light in the sky. We've had an overcast day for much of Saturday.
Half an hour of racing completed. Johnny Palmer has stepped out of the cockpit, and there's a driver change here as well. Let's head down immediately to our Continental Tire pit lane team as the number 6 Simon Pagenaud got turned around by Stuart Middleton. That's why Stuart's got the penalty. Andrew Marriott with his Continental Tire pit lane report. Nick Tandy from Porsche.
I'm with Nick Tandy, who is nursing a very painful foot. He's ripped his boot off. He's got a lot of ice on it now. Nick, what happened here with your foot? Honestly, it got overheated.
No. I left it under the side of the car when it dropped to the ground.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I was... we've had a piece of trim fall off inside the car under the safety car, so I was looking around in under the seat to see if I could find it after I put Fred in the car, and yeah, my foot was still under when we dropped it off the jacks.
In Lexus, it certainly had the glistening blue and silver look about it, but I was down here watching a pit stop for the BMW with the blue in the front of the grille. That would be the 24. Augusto Farfus has just taken that over, and it was a bit stubborn to leave the pit box. These cars have been having issues in the...
ACURA Ligier in 3rd position, 7.6 seconds further back. So 3 different manufacturers, although not 3 different chassis. Dallara, Ligier in the top 3 in prototype.
They are indeed, John Hindhoff, and Scott Sharp. He is absolutely charging. I mean, the last 3 laps, the deficit from 1st to 2nd, 23 points to repay, not repay the favour, but not have any difficulties with the young Englishman this time around. Let's put it that way.
Let's go to Andrew Marriott with this Continental Tire car over. Stayed in the car when that car got serviced. That means Chris Meese will cycle back to the lead in the monoplast by Land number 29 car with the beautiful green accents down the side of his thumbs at the moment as they cycle through the other drivers. They are coming into the pit lane now, and if you're down in the Boardwalk Club, sure.
On the big screen, it's another thing to see it when it's only a few feet away from you, John. It's a thrill I never get tired of. They are doing 4 new Continental tires for this Land by Monoplast Audi. No driver change, not even a drinks bottle change. That's
Never change there, so I'm going to nip round to the back of the pit and see who we can find. I did see Rocket climbing into one of the cars.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you to our Continental Tire pit lane crew who have been exceptional.
A long way, of course, for you to stage another of those incredible side-by-side finishes.
Yeah, I mean, that's always going to be the same, so GTLM feels...
Shit, Adam.
Fuel and tires only, John, for the number 51. They're happy to leave Matthias in for a little bit longer, although they did do single stints early on. Matthias gets the bonus of staying in.
And Andrew has stayed in the Corvette.
Christian and Antonio Goldsmith, well, a big smile on your face. Well,
repay the debt, Jeremy. I'm just hearing from the pit lane. Delighted to say that from the number 50 Audi from yesterday's race, we have got both of the drivers, but we've only put them on one at a time. So, guys, yeah, Redest.
Yes,
Not
that's
too
correct,
bad?
exactly. Yeah, very
Okay.
nice. Gosh, Ernest.
How you liking this darkness running down here? I bet you'd like to be out there right now.
Yeah, very nice. I'm enjoying the time. Actually, like, it got dark pretty quick because just half an hour ago.
I were in Dubai for the 24 hours there, and you were part of the Phoenix team that came first and second with the new Audi R8 GT4. A very different racetrack, and that, I mean, look out here, and there's so much light here. That was very...
I was, of course, taking part in that because I love, like, competition, adrenaline, and at the beginning, my dad was my biggest competitor. So then, by the time I got some lap records on indoor karting track, we had a bet that if on last race of the season in this indoor karting, I will get on podium, we will then invest in a go-kart and I will start racing in Poland. And I was actually P3. So yeah, Daddy, whatever he says, he's doing that. And yeah, I won actually my first go-kart in a bet.
Now, this is going to shock you, but I did some commentary for Polish karting. It's quite a big and quite a well-developed karting scene. But, and we'll try and chase that up with the give a set of suggested parameters.
Recommended parameters, yes.
Yes, it's been suggested to us that no doubt.
Yeah, it was super impressive. I mean, we just got this car from overseas like a few days ago. So
how late did this deal come together? It was pretty late because we had been talking not to Mazda going slowly, and that car's had gearbox problems, and that is. Oh, it's another puncture. This time it's a left rear, Shea Adam.
The team just found out about it on the radio because the 55 again. Oh, the drama continues for the Mazda team Yost.
I don't know what to make about this, but ultimately that's a brand new car again. I mean, this is its first outing, and yet it looks very similar to the car that raced half of last season and the whole, you know, and part of the development of the season before. As the 77 car, by the way, is still on the back straight heading towards the bus stop. Sorry, I gave Shea some bad information there. That was my fault. But this is a brand new guys have got pace, and you've gelled as a driver pairing. Got the leader in João Barbosa at the moment as the 77 goes high on the turn 3 and 4 banking. I know why he's done that because it's down. I'm not sure they put tyres on that, but I will check with our penalty pit lane team.
Got up the inside. I felt as if I was alongside him. I'm sure he knew I was there, and he just turned in. Like, you know, I was far over to the right, as tight as I could go, and then he just closed the door on me mid-corner.
Sure, you were trading places with some of the biggest names in this series. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that felt surreal. I was really having some melting off, but yeah, overall that felt pretty good.
Stuart, you had this opportunity and you've turned a
Liam Rahal, and he's down and away as well. That was a very quick stop. I reckon Paul de Resta in the 32 car will cycle through to the lead here, Jeremy.
Because his pit stall is just past the start-finish line, so that car becomes our 8th different leader, our 18th different official lead change by my reckoning. But he will.
They didn't take any tyres at the very first pit stop.
Yeah.
There was a very good reason for that. The rules only allow them to take a certain number of tyres, so they have to miss one. So
it's all about volume and customer racing, and that's always been our model from the beginning. And we're still the only OEM that has a product at each level. So it's, you know, we're just extending what our offering is, and as we do that, we get closer and closer to what we're selling as street.
We've got Shea Adam, who's with Phil Hansen. He's just got out of his racing car as well. He's in the 23 United Autosport machine.
Phil, it was your first stint out there during the night, but you're no stranger to 24-hour races. What was it like at Daytona, though? A lot of fun.
Yeah, it was really good. I mean, obviously I've done Le Mans 24 hours last year, quite dissimilar because of the banking here and also because of the great floodlighting. So although it's night time, I'm using my driver time in the moment, so I'll probably get a couple hours and I'll go back in for another triple.
Good luck for the rest of the way.
Thank you very much.
Start with, haven't you?
Yeah, that's the whole reason we're in motorsports, is to showcase that street car product and the launch of Audi Sport. And you're seeing that even more with the GT4 that's just come out. I mean, that's literally a street car R8 that's on the same production line as everything else, and it comes off. We put a cage in it. We put Bilstein shocks on it before there, and you know, so I feel like they got gypped, and we're going to do our best to try and figure something out to get them back out there, because I think they have a lot to prove.
That's good. That's great. And I think we will see that car here. But the Peugeot isn't, of course. That's not a brand available in the city. Do we need a big American manufacturer, or maybe one of your German?
They all got the flu, so that's fine. If they want us, they can stay over in Germany, because we sure don't need it in the 24-hour race here. But a few of them did make it over, and they're a little under the weather, but they're all great people to work with, and we always enjoy their company.
Is there anything more to come? Have you got
car when it becomes available to the track day community per se, and then they just buy a new car. It ends up being a sequential, so which is great. We just keep rotating the sales and keep moving volume. So
and that these cars will have intrinsic value. There's a chassis number on the chassis, on the roll cage, on the engine,
and 67. That's been going on for quite a while now. And meanwhile, Dirk Müller is making hay while the sun doesn't shine, because he's certainly stretched out his lead at the front. It was 10 seconds a little while ago.
Which we'll talk about at the moment. Feeling the pan?
Do you know what? No.
Really?
I saw Alan. Well, exactly. There you go. Thanks for that, John. Yeah, absolutely. I entirely agree. And I have to say, I mean, I've been here obviously supporting Ollie Jarvis in particular, but the whole, I'm here as a guest of John, noticed, John, but there seems to be a lot of people with sort of either
Jeremy, isn't it?
with niggling issues, though. A lot of sort of niggling little issues of people slow on the apron and stuff like that, but not wrong. I was talking to Ollie Jarvis actually about it, and Renee as well, Renee Rast, and they were saying it just feels, it's something you have to, you come in, your natural reaction is to turn the engine off. It just feels wrong to come in and get out of the car with the engine still running.
Having that rule at Le Mans in the WEC, it's in the new set of rules. And
it's not a safety thing, in my opinion, but there must be a very good argument for it, especially if they're considering adopting it. They won't let you wheel spin out.
They did 4 tires and fuel, and sentiment was almost a perfect stop from our defending championship-winning team, the GTD.
Taylor in the pit lane, and then it's good at Jeanette with Shea. Andrew, what do you have?
Yes, indeed, the 10 car is in. It's what I call a short service.
You look like you were working really hard out there. Just how difficult is it with all the traffic?
Probably shouldn't be in a prototype. Yeah, we're just getting laps done.
Not to sell you out, but you were a bit late to the driver's meeting today. You were in your fire suit and clutching your helmet.
United Autosports number 23. That car has led in the early running. Fernando Alonso scored as leader, albeit before he came in for his pit stop, but he was a leader as Norris goes up into 6th position after the stop for Jordan Taylor, 38.7. It's actually only 6/10 away from that car's fastest lap. So sports cars and endurance racing is, particularly with the opportunities for young drivers. There's always been, let's be honest, there's always been opportunity. Maybe have reached a glass ceiling in the Formula ranks.
Well, I would actually turn it around, John, and go the other way. And I'd say there are always opportunities for talented youngsters coming through. You know, the Lando Norrises of this world, you know, they're destined for great things, and they always have been. I think that the amateur scene now is blossoming more than certainly than I've ever seen in my sort of 20-25 year career, without a doubt, and that's largely down to the whole driver rank, or a Rob Dyson to go up against a pro, but he still wanted to do it.
And it also gives an opportunity for a paid gig for a goal. Andrew, what occurred there? They came in 66.4 and 3. Have they gone out the same way?
Yeah, that's very interesting. It's at a big angle. That's a 4 car going out. You just heard the roar of the Chevy V8. The 3 car is now also leaving the pit lane. It is
Jeremy.
Yeah, and the number 911 and the number 67 cars were both in that little while ago.
Morlem, our guest in the IMSA radio, the RS2 IMSA radio studio. We're talking about the endurance racing scene and the he's in now. Yeah, so before I ask Johnny that question, let's head back down to our Continental Tire pit lane reporters. The 5 is in. This looks like a short stop, the intermediate service, as Andrew has been calling it. The Mustang sampling ended car sitting there taking fuel, and still taking fuel. No tyres offered at all.
It was brilliantly well in this race, so we need to find out what the problem was there.
Out goes the 7
Yes, it is. Rahal. I noticed that Pagano was out there, absolutely flying Pagano, and he's only like 3 or 4 tenths off the bed. Track rubbers in as you get cooler ambient conditions as the night draws in. the car can change balance dramatically, and it certainly seems to be coming to the Acuras at the moment. I mean, we're only scratching the surface of the race at the start, but
you get a feel for
they're going to be in the hunt. There's no doubt about it.
Tell you about Mike Conway, but it was drowned out, I'm afraid, John.
What I was about to say, Andrew, is for Action Express for doing the arithmetic on that. 11,000 laps, 39,500 miles, and counting.
That's brilliant. Wanting to go and do one of the top races, and that's why you can go around and just cherry pick with these cars now that you can do all these different races with.
GT3 and GT4 has been very good for endurance racing. We have a new fastest lap of the race. Stand up and be counted. It's Nico Lapierre in the 22 Nissan. 4 laps off the lead. It's just done a 1:37.570 in the Tequila Patron ESM Ligier with that Nismo power. It's down in 16th position. Nico's lost no pace.
On offer here
So that's
for
a
the highest finishing, for the highest finishing Truman Aitken entrant, and you have to, I believe, well, Jeremy will know this, but I believe you have to register for it. I think if you're a bronze driver, you automatically are in it, but if you're a silver driver, you have to register and stuff like that. It's really fantastic, and you can run the high line or the low line and build up momentum. Start high, bring it down, pick up speed. There are ways on the straight to really change your speed.
Dane Cameron out in 5th position in the number 6 car. Oh, hang on, there's strife here. Problem for the 2nd place car. Is that right, DL?
Right rear.
Right rear puncture. Another right rear puncture. No, it's a Cadillac.
Number 10 car.
That's Jordan Taylor. Jordan Taylor.
God, there's so many right rear punctures.
Yeah.
I just hope it doesn't damage the bodywork too much, though.
Absolute drama while that car limps back. Let's go to the pit lane. Simon Pagenaud just out.
For the 2 car at the moment, Simon. But I mean, this is early days.
Much time, but he was still going pretty quickly when he came down into the pit lane. So he's got to hope that luckily, the carcass wasn't flailing around nearly as much.
The tyre hill. Imagine the sort of pressures the sidewall was under. And but one of the things that you can do here, obviously, to try and stabilise a car going down into one with the braking is run a little bit of extra rear toe in the rear to try and settle the car under braking. The downside to that is that then on the banking, it's dragging. So it's being pushed in banking.
WeatherTech Ferrari.
And of course hitting some debris of some sort, which is the other.
But you're seeing so many of them, though, Jeremy.
But I think it's going to be here for some time, although they're just telling him to fire up the engine. But interestingly, John, as we stand here in the pit lane, the spits of rain just arriving.
Oh my goodness, the rain that we had been expecting has arrived, and we can see it out of the window in the floodlights. It's on the windscreen and it's beading up. Stuart Hall once told me if it's enough to be on the windscreen and beading up and running up, then it's enough to have to modify your driving style. He's a braver man than me. I'm a complete wimp when I see any kind of rain on my visor when I'm on the motorcycle. Dan Walmsley is here from McLaren. It's the era of hypercars and supercars, and we are looking at a transition period in the top class of world motorsport, world endurance motorsport. The prototypes here is now a proven concept after just 1 year. It's been very, very successful. But in the WEC and at Le Mans, we need to think about 2023, or thereabouts. What's McLaren's thoughts about that? Would you favour a move to some P1 category, call it what you will, GTP or whatever, that more closely resembled, you guys aren't a big manufacturer, you're not a series manufacturer. I mean, we've seen some big manufacturers not being able to do that with their GT cars, so that would homologate.
Hypothetically, yeah. We, at the moment, as a company, you say we're quite a small player in the industry out of the factory at the moment in Woking. So, yeah, plenty of scope for capacity, and yeah, we've got a very capable platform to. Yeah, there's varying input. So obviously, customers and customer racing is an important thing for us, and it will always be the basis of our racing and structure further. We've got really healthy order books. I mean, we're pretty much sold out for 2018 for GT4. And we've had huge interest in the new GT3 car. So,
and you've got new road car coming not that far away, P23.
Yeah, codename P23 is it's a special project.
And thanks for the honesty.
No
say hi to the guys back at base, won't you?
Will do. Yeah, thanks, John. Thanks for having me.
Always enjoy coming to see you.
Thanks.
It's starting to get slippery out there. Slippery enough that people are taking to the grass, and the 14 Lexus is one of those.
The 90 car is just coming in, and they have the rain tyres ready for that. That's probably just a great call for them. They're just coming in at the right moment. Just looking at the weather map, actually, which was on holiday. It'd be interesting to see what happens, but the 90 is going on to the wets.
It's almost cleared already,
yeah.
Johnny.
I mean, if you could stay out there, if you can, I mean, right now a GT car is the car to have. I noticed the 62 Risi Ferrari was in and putting slicks on just as it started getting really heavy, whether they then changed it or when they went out. But
it was Tony Villander, by the way, so if it was snowing and blowing a gale, it would still put slicks on.
But this, it's come back again. This is sort of coming and going, and right now it's lethal out there in terms of slicks, and especially now with the prototypes, are going to be in way worse shape because they've got less mechanical grip. They're relying on the speed to get the downforce, to get the grip.
The issue Tony Vierlander's going to have on, he's got cold slicks on now.
Oh, that would have been absolutely a nightmare for him if he went out on
Race leader in
slicks.
the pits.
Race leader, the number 5, Christian Fittipaldi, into the pit lane.
I mean, look at that. Look at the
it's full wet on the
bow
surface
waves now coming out the back. The diffuser's throwing that out. Absolutely, there's 100%. This is chucking it down. This is definitely full wets.
Let's head to Diana, who's got Ryan DL. Ask him, he's the driver. What do you reckon? Slicks or wets now?
Ryan, slicks or wets right now?
I would say definitely wet, so I'm glad I got out just in the nick of time. Yeah, nobody saw that coming, right? We all thought it was going to come tomorrow, so.
I know it was a bit unexpected, but just before you came...
Oh, well, this throws a little bit of dice, but...
Absolutely, well, your cars come in, and I think the race leaders just put wets on, I understand.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather the rain comes now, gets out of the way, and we have a nice dry finish, but Daytona's a tricky place in the rain, but I know...
Circuit, we've got somebody going very slowly. I think they've had a spin on the tryover.
Yeah,
that's Villander.
Yeah, I think.
Is it Villander?
No, it's not Villander. It's the 48 car.
It's the 48, yes, absolutely. Saw the red car and made the wrong assumption.
I think
that was Brian Sellers, I think, in that car the last time I looked.
These conditions is very, very tricky out there if you're on slicks. It's tricky enough on wets in this sort of situation, but even onto the, you have to stay off the white lines on the track. But it just shows you, I have to say, I mean, I think that, was that a repeat of Bruno going wide? I think that was,
yeah.
It is
Bruno Giuncera.
So, but if you actually think about it, the standard of driving there, when this happens, I cannot tell you, John, I mean, you know what it's like. When it rains like this and you're on slicks, I cannot tell you, the standard of driving was so good. I didn't really see anybody apart from a few people sliding wide.
And you've driven in these conditions on this race?
The car basically seals off underneath with the water, then you're actually stalling all your aero and you lose downforce.
Kelvin van der Linde has been in and out in the Land 29 car with the Tron green lights on the side.
Shall we watch for the 911s to come into their own now then, John?
It is Porsche weather, isn't it?
It is Porsche weather.
Just turned on the Porsche weather.
Yeah. Both in
Lucas
GTD.
It did get very wet, and that means there will be spray thrown up, but in that happening, Johnny, it does dry quickly, and this place was resurfaced not so very long ago.
The banking will dry quick, for obvious reasons, and also it's less worrying up on the banking, so that won't be a problem. It's the infield and going down off the apron. Jackie Stewart always says, always go on the tyre that's right for the conditions right now. So, I mean, in this situation, it's going to take a little while to dry, so there's no way that you're going to gain anything by trying to plod around on slicks. It's just not going to work.
Lucas Stoltz has completed 164 laps, and the information I have in front of me was he was last in the pits on lap 141. Frank Pereira in the 11 Lamborghini was last in on 142. Then you've got Kelvin van der Linde, who was in on 164, and I think he put wet tyres on.
Is Merc coming in, a GTD Merc?
Let's have a look to my left hand. He's
still on slicks. John.
Still on slicks. He is. There's no doubt to me that Pereira in the 11 Lambo is still on slicks, and this might be one of those hero drives. And the 10 car has been right to the edge of oblivion.
No, that's the 20.
Car,
that's the bar one car. Yeah.
Why have they changed the car to that colour?
It's Alex Popov, actually a really handy driver, PC champion a couple of years ago. He's doing really well, and yeah, they're a great little family-run team. Brian Alder does a really good job with them, and they're having fun.
No, I was going to add to that, just to say, particularly here, of course, because you run as low downforce as you can because of the importance of the straight line speed.
Absolutely. So yeah, you got the worst of that as well.
look at the GT cars as well.
The GT car, John, you'll know from the GT car, right now, when it rains like this, you want to be in a GT car. And that's why a GTD car with ABS, don't forget, they've got ABS.
Yeah, good point.
Then they're probably more in a position to try and risk staying on slicks in these kinds of conditions. I think it's the wrong call, but I can see why they would try and do that if their satellite's telling them that this is going to blow through in 5 minutes. You couldn't do that in a prototype. You just can't get away with it.
Kelvin van der Linde has got by from Pereira. Pereira's still out there on slicks, but he's lost 13 seconds to van der Linde now, who's gone through. Blakemore.
Well, you do the math. That's 5 laps, 6 laps, and you've lost a lap.
Yeah.
So it's pointless.
Jerome Blakemore just out of the pit lane in the 33. So that car was trying to tough it out, but they've changed and they've put Jerome on on wet tyres.
Interesting to watch people through the horseshoe and just see how many drivers are actually using the outside wet line and how many aren't. Because obviously right now you're looking for areas of the infield where there isn't rubber down, because the rubber actually becomes like ice in the wet. So you're looking for areas that have actually...
trick, that, isn't it?
Well, I mean, I don't know, I never did karting, but it is a trick in motorsport, and through there you quite often get really sideways coming through as you come out to where pit lane exit is, and I can imagine for poor old Marcel on slicks in a Corvette through there, that is going to be really getting his attention. He's got the Ferrari behind him now, is that the 62? No, that's the 82. That's the GT. So that's the GTD car overtaking Marcel Fassler in the GTE car. And again, just down there, you can see on the screen there, you can just see the advantage that the GTD car's got.
In fairness, Matt knows his way around that GTD car.
Very good driver. Yeah, fantastic driver.
He's done a lot of driving this last year. I think he said he's done 167 flights last year.
Watch this moment.
Oh,
watch this moment.
Very sideways.
Watch. Gets sideways there. Goes one way. Holds it. Yeah, great catch.
Easy
and
to
it puddles down
there.
there. Very easy. And you can, if you overcorrect there, you're in the wall on the right, and that's race over.
In some ways, you need to.
If I was the driver, I'd have said immediately, let's pit, unless it was going to be something that was 2 minutes and then gone.
I could perhaps presume he'd asked on the pit wall, what's the weather going to do? What information do you have that you can help me in the predicament I have right now?
Last lap around, Sebastian Bourdais on wet weather tyres in the leading GT Le Mans car from Chip Ganassi was faster than the race leader.
Yes.
And he's taking time out the race leader.
To be fair,
he's lapping some prototypes.
To be fair, Fittipaldi seems to be really
50.7.
Yeah, those are the fastest guys on the circuit at the moment. Vesler's got it down to a 2:01. So he's lost 35 seconds to Bourdais. But if Bourdais has to pit to change tyres because it dries up, you get that back. But he hasn't gained anything. He's net, he's about...
It depends how long it takes for this track to dry. Because if Bourdais can carry on like this...
I'm in the wet. Got 2 laps back on the leader because I was in the right car for the conditions, not because I'm particularly happy in the wet, but it was just a lot of fun, and there's nothing better than driving around the outside of somebody who's in a faster car than you when you've got the grip and they haven't.
Absolutely.
Marcel Fassler still cruising, limping around almost compared to everybody else, but he's still out there.
He's got it down though, hasn't he?
Exactly.
He's got it now.
He's only 6 seconds slower than the...
For this season, they are being put to the test.
Lando made half decent sports car driver, wouldn't he?
I don't know why he's bothering with that.
Yeah, he's doing a super job. As is Lance Stroll.
Like Duval, Nico Lapierre. That's pretty mighty, that, Johnny, isn't it?
Quality. This is quality all the way through the grid. Absolutely. And again, you could say that some of the top, look into GTLM. Bourdais, Dixon, Magnussen, Villander, Pillay, Fassler, Vantor, Oberlin. I mean, they're names that everyone...
GTLM, and overall, let's talk about GT Daytona, where the land team brought Kelvin van der Linde in, put him on wets. He's on wets now. Jerome Blakemore came in and put... Jerome is now up to 3rd in the 86 ACURA. He's another 16 seconds further back. And who was it who was who put the slicks back on again? It was Frank Pereira. He's lost the lead lap. Pereira has lost the lead lap in the 11 Lamborghini.
There you go. This is
there you
the
go.
thing.
He's dropped down to 9th position.
This absolute... it's so easy to sit up here in the warm and dry and call judgment down on decision-making and strategy, but I must admit, I can't believe they made that decision.
You still have to drive the car, even with the wet weather tyres on, though, John.
Well, I'm such a wimp. If I'd been in the car, I don't know what Johnny O'Connell would say. We'll put him on air in a minute and ask him, but if I was in the car and it was those kind of conditions, there's no way I'd have let them keep me on slicks, whether they wanted to or not. I'd have been saying, I'm coming in, boys, put me on wets. I don't care what you want.
I'll tell you what, that's
yeah, I got, you know, and again, how long has it been drying out? I mean, to be that first guy to go to rains, you don't.
Phenomenal year for Cadillac last year, and the competition is ramped up this year. Can Cadillac repeat?
You know what, I got to tell you, all the teams are highly motivated. Last year you had 3 Cadillacs, now you have 4, so you a couple more bullets in the gun. You know, after 18 years, you know, being associated with General Motors and having had such great, you know, success with them, we got a little bit of an off there.
Quite a bit of an off. It's the BMW number 25. He's been on the infield. The bonnet is deranged. The hood is deranged. And that is damaged to... That's Bill Oberlin, who's dropped that. 400 wins for...
Well, it's one of those deals where that makes me question, did they go to slicks or are they on wets? Yeah. You know, if he went on slicks.
Side of the racetrack, he was coming up on another...
Ooh, he had a failure.
Tyre, right front tyre.
Yeah. Right front tyre.
Massive failure. He's done really well to keep that off the wall as he was coming out of...
You know, because that was a huge moment. He handled it like the professional that he is, and those guys will go to work.
Okay, now pit stops for the leaders.
We didn't hear a lot of that engine, but it got the opportunity to take a free, in inverted commas, pit stop. You take it at any race, you'll do that. 5, Christian Fittipaldi stayed aboard the Mustang sampling. The number 6 of Dane Cameron, and that's Slicks that's gone back on. Big wheel spin out the pit box from the young Cameron.
You know, cold slicks, he's going to struggle. You know, he's going to go getting through that first horseshoe is going to be really slow.
Well, Jordan Taylor was the first one of the leaders to stop for slick tyres. His last lap was a 1:43.7. People on wets doing 53s to 55s. And the 25 will go to the garage. That has been a huge incident on the right front, and there is damage inside the engine compartment. That's a long night for the RLL. That was a rain tyre? That was a rain tyre.
That was a rain, and it just shredded. You
These lights on the 63 for WeatherTech Ferrari, and then bang, the bonnet is cranked up across the line in the pit lane. My apologies. The Daniel Serra Ferrari, the 51 car, has come into the pit lane. It was Paul Dall'Anna that brought it in. He was on Continental wets. They've gone on to Continental slicks.
Sports car, Lando Norris came in. He's taken a very, a very melted set of Continental wets off. He's gone out on slicks, so that is going to be the...
I get some sleep now. I think the early morning or the last part of the night maybe it gets a little bit more intense. Now everyone is taking care of the car with the rain. There is no point to take any risk now, so it's the perfect time to get some sleep now and then watch every single lap from the morning on.
And get well soon, Gary. Thanks, Fernando. And it's good advice. I wish
strategy kind of goes out the window, what you've been playing for the first 6 hours, and saw how it got mixed up there with people staying on dries, then going to wets. But definitely what the Johnnies were saying earlier, go to wets early.
And the GT Le Mans leader is in the pit lane. Patrick Pilet has come in, and that looks like full service to me. Owen Tringler.
Full service back on slicks, and that was an awesome drive, being on slicks. Talking about that, and I was listening to you guys talk earlier, the issues that they were having. I don't know if you guys ever found out if there was a camber issue with the right rear because they had it on the 2 and the 22.
Correct.
And so that leads you to think, I know we need to confirm that, but the camber issue was there on the right rear.
It's the sort of thing that you can ask the question of, but you get the answer that we...
Larger in terms of the crowd, the number of people that were up in the grandstand, the improvements they've made here to the infield with a
all that manufacturer's midway area, the dedicated pedestrian walkways. It's just every year you come back, it's better and better. Already state-of-the-art, world-class, but it just continues to improve.
Quick word about what Owen was talking about there. Owen Trinkler, one of the leading lights in the Continental Tire Sports chair of the Formula. You've got to say that Jeff and Simon in the IMSA technical department did a fantastic job. And these guys are not sticking a finger in the wind here. This is all done with data, and more data to come from the leading cars. In fact, we've already got pit stop starting, Jeremy.
Yeah, we have indeed, and the number 22 car, Nicolas Lapierre, has been flying along there. He's still 3 laps down.
Pretty tricky conditions. We had a quick shower, and that obviously messed up the whole track. Messed up for everyone. I got hit behind by a GT. He spun me around. Luckily enough, we didn't get any damage in the car, and still a lot of racing to go. The car's good, and we're just taking those laps.
That rain shower seemed to be a bit unexpected.
Dynamics there, reporting live from the pit lane. Hello, Johnny Palmer back on stint then after a little...
You are going to push as hard as you can, but to a certain extent you've got to be smart about this too. You've got to be there at the end. Yes. It's easy to get laps back here, the way the cautions flow, but I mean, I've got to give it to the drivers out there, and they've done a great job keeping everything on track and everything's green, but you can't get laps back. And now we've got, is that the leaders there together there, Jeremy?
Yeah, leaders.
Still through pit stops, but before that, I think he reduced the gap by about 8 seconds. He was fastest through pretty much every sector time, by chunks of time, chunks of tenths.
And also in the wet weather too. Well, raced in a lot of wet weather in the UK, in fairness, but certainly not in a prototype that is reliant on the downforce. United Autosports 2 abreast, and then I think one of the lead cars trying to sneak through on the inside of the International Horseshoe there as well. So as they rotation, I think predicted sometime tomorrow. We're not sure whether it's going to actually hit for the last couple of hours or not, but they just want some sustained running in kind of regular conditions now, don't they?
Yeah, the team...
Following that round of pit stops, Daniel Juncadella is now at the wheel, car number 37. That's one of the Jackie Chan DCR entries with Jota. Lance Stroller got that car back on the lead lap with a really, really fine stint, but the car's fallen off the lead lap again now, so it's 1 lap down in 8th position. Also 1 lap down is Tristan Vautier, who's been flying along as he was early on, and once again he's the fastest car on track that lap with a 138.8 against the 141 of the race leader Helio Castro-Neves. So Tristan Vautier
GTs, but Richard Westbrook so far staying out, and that car's in 2nd place. Westbrook just heading out of turn 6 now and into Speedway turn 1 with a Lexus. Westbrook might struggle to get by that blue Lexus before the bus stop chicane, Jeremy.
Yeah, I hope we can have a glimpse.
Up the ton, so the grip came in really fast. So right now, you know, the Michelin's really good in those mixed conditions.
You're enjoying it, obviously.
I love it. It's cool. I'm driving.
Thanks, Scott.
Scott Dixon with Diana Binks, and a big smile on his face, I'm sure, as well. I know it's radio, but you can kind of just guess when people are chatting with such positivity. So Sebastian Bourdais and Richard Westbrook are now the drivers at the wheel of the 2-4 GTs. 66 versus 67, just over 12.
The gap came down to 1.5 seconds a couple of laps ago. Then you got a bit of traffic. They're able to catch over to pull away just a little bit, but as we can see right here, as they go up onto the banking.
Now coming into turn 6, how aggressive this battle gets right now.
Yeah, well, we'll wait and see. If Helio Castro-Neves is feeling the threat too much, it might almost be better to let him go.
Yeah, ran a little wide there coming out of turn 6 there. And now we got the drag race down to the bus stop.
Yeah, and that torque of the Cadillac there just pulled him up almost alongside. Castro-Neves pins him down behind a GT Daytona car as they go on the banking.
But that just shows how strict for Philippe Albuquerque then on the exit of the tri-oval as they duck down from the banking and into turn number 1. He's right underneath the rear wing now of Castro-Neves. Think about going 2 abreast into the left-hander, but side better of it, but yeah, that 5 car for me looks to be handling far better than the ACURA in this phase of the race, and the extra power as well.
It does, and we saw that number 7 car they changed the nose on that car, didn't they, at that last pit stop on lap 215.
Absolutely side by side, and surely the race lead now for Philippe Albuquerque as they turn left at the kink. He had the momentum, he had track position as well, and darts by Helio Castroneves. A lead change then on the infield here at Daytona. This is at near enough 9:30 local time, and on lap 231 we get another lead change. Helio Castroneves on the infield section. Meanwhile in GTD, it has been the story of the
is getting a drinks bottle and a lot of fuel. They checked the tires, but they did not put new Continentals on. So Renger going back out on already warmed rubber.
More woe, it sounds like, for the 77 Mazda.
Yeah, just been on pit road. It's back on pit road. The reason being is the car was brought in for the lack of rear lights on the car. So the rear wing section was replaced on this Mazda Team Yost entry. And the car went back out, and as it went out onto pit road, there was still no lights. So there must be a wiring loom.
Ground to a halt for whatever reason, electrical issues, drive issues, sometimes debris as well. But I'm sure we're still on for a chance of beating the distance record, both to your right and to your left. But almost the priority on the Saturday night is just to have a good time, take on board a few beers, and then see where you can be tomorrow morning. But they'll be paying close attention to the scoring tower as well, I'm sure, because we've got a fight on our hands again for the lead of the race. A very similar situation, and for the second time in about 15 minutes, Philippe Albuquerque has had to find a way past Helio Castroneves. Did it in roughly the same position.
Yeah, he just used the torque of that Cadillac engine to...
I suppose for those guys, but Harry Tinknell... Thank you, Shay. Another Continental Tire pit lane report, and this is drama for the Gainsco car, I think, the 99 machine, which is slow coming through one of the speedway turns and has sensibly pulled way off the third of the ORECAs in the order. The top ORECA is Daniel Juncadella, by the way. What's happening with the 99 then, Shay?
Came into the pit lane and did not even let its headlights beam down the pit lane. It turned hard left, straight behind the wall into the garage.
Okay, it's a real shame. There's a car off on the infield. Now,
I didn't quite... was that a replay?
Yeah, that was down in the...
Turn 5, wasn't it?
Turn 5.
Yeah, on the West Horseshoes where that was,
yeah. Now, so yes, I beg your pardon. That was a moment. Turned it round very swiftly.
Just look at some of the lap times here. Renger van der Zande is still running in 3rd position in car number 10. Remember, he did not take on fresh tyres, did he, when he took over?
But there is a car off now, and I think these are live pictures.
That's the bus stop there.
Yeah, that's the Turner Motorsport 96 car in blue stripes down the car, and it spins on what is now very wet grass.
In car number 31, having been struggling in the last stint, is now beginning to put the pressure on Renger van der Zande. That'll be the battle for 3rd and 4th positions.
The Turner Motorsport BMW absolutely did make contact with the tyres. Don Yount nosing into the barriers. And
right now, but certainly an excellent effort by Phil Hansen, taken over from the brilliant work by Lando Norris a little while ago.
10 o'clock, chaps. Just a couple of hours to go then before we hit Sunday morning, and the hours are being pounded through.
Or lap, a lap or so, and he's actually eked out a little bit now over the Cadillac on that last lap. I think that was a result of traffic primarily, but still, he's turned into much better laps than he was just before the pit stop, certainly.
Yeah, it's up to 2.1 seconds now, and on the previous lap it was 4/10. So Philippe Albuquerque.
Yeah, I think it is headed down towards the.
Yeah, they're down the
International Horseshoe, isn't it? Yeah.
With another right rear puncture, as I need to move out of the way of the 24 BMW because that is coming in as well.
That's a big failure. He had to limp almost the entire way around the racetrack. Lost 3 laps doing that. That car's been charging along. It's still 3 laps off the pace. That earlier on, I don't know, maybe a better part of an hour ago, when that car was closing in on number 37 car. And it got that gap down from 20 seconds down to, well, less than half of that before the last round of pit stop, and then it kind of lost some.
Back out is our championship defender in GTLM, Corvette logo on the back.
And it's back on the move. Meanwhile, there's drama at the bus stop, this time for the 23 car, and this is not the first puncture we've seen for the United Autosports Ligier. Now, the problem is, we've got exactly the same scenario here, Owen, as we had with the ESM car and with the 23.
He's going too fast. He's down in NASCAR 4 is where he is right now, so that was coming out of the bus stop.
So where did the tyre problem hit? It had already gone down prior to the brake zone for the bus stop chicane. So the car is on its way to the team. Andrew Marriott, you're down.
On the banking here, just before it comes.
Yeah,
One thing that's absolutely so great about this race is when I went to see the Gainscow car being repaired, all the fans can get in there very close to the garage and see all the mechanics working hard, and I think that really is a great bonus for them. So now this is a 23 now, I think, coming towards me, and yeah, here it comes.
They're going to need an engine cover as well, Andy.
Yeah, on the car. And I've also got another car coming right in next to me, so I'm going to have to tuck myself in the wall. So let them get the pit stop, and I'm moving out of the way here because I'm just in an awkward place. It's got cars coming in all over the show. And I got the 71 Mercedes comes past me. So give me a moment and I'll get into the United car.
Hey, thank you for that. Phil Hanson's got the car home, but it's now shed quite a lot of the bodywork over that rear right wheel, and the team just assessing just how much damage has been done. I mean, thankfully that whole piece comes off in one chunk. It depends whether it can be clipped back into place. There's also that section just in front of the...
If he feels the difference between the two noses, and I'm sure he does.
You can come up here again, Owen, because you know what you know what to look for and what you're talking about.
My eyes are still good right now.
Better than mine.
You're very careful bringing the car back in. You didn't cause much damage at all to the rear, and you really have to control yourself to do that.
Yeah, actually, it did cause quite a bit of damage to the bodywork.
It's very much a trying time for United Autosport. Having said that, they're really enjoying the challenge. They've been treated very well by the teams and by the officials here, but the rules will not be bent for anybody.
Of course not, and I suppose the way that you work out whether you can work in that kind of environment is to try it out and to test yourself yet further, and I'm sure they will learn an awful lot from this, their first Rolex 24. Certainly got some good names in that little black book of theirs to call upon.
Well, they're going to be tested here. I mean, when we start to get cautions on trying to work the strategy to get the laps back that they've lost here. Obviously, we haven't had a caution in a long time. We've been green for a while, but as we start to get some cautions, they'll start to learn that strategy, Jeremy, to try to see if they can make some laps back. And Alonso's here battling with the 10 car going down to the bus stop.
Yeah, we've only had that one caution.
Runners are concerned.
Well, they won the last time out that we ended our championship last year at Petit Le Mans. I mean, those guys were unstoppable there. They rode Atlanta, and they've continued that success headed into the Rolex 24 here.
I think combination going there as well. Obviously has to weave together non-pros and pros. It's the nature of GTD. And then the strategy is when and where you use each of those drivers, bearing in mind
it's good for you no matter what.
Yeah, that's exactly the case for Austin Cindric. He's going to be smiling whatever he's driving. Yeah. He'll go anywhere, do anything. What was he telling us yesterday? He's going to do some rallycross, some ice racing, is it, or rallycross in Europe? I think it was coming up next.
You mentioned something about Sweden, did you?
Yeah,
for Austin.
Wasn't that what it was?
Yes, I think it probably was. Yeah, and just the fact that he seems to be open to all types of motorsport on all sorts of surfaces as well.
Well, and that helps you adapt.
Fix it, just checking everything out. The car looks mechanically sound, but it's just a little hard with the hood.
But a good situation for you here because you've got a couple of factory BMW drivers in the car as well. Good to match yourself.
Plenty of time. We're not even close yet to halfway through the race. Another we're 16 hours to go, so 8 hours down.
But they're heading to be best P2, but I must say the DPIs look like they've got quite a bit of performance over the P2s when they need to. But anyway, it's still 16 hours to go, and reasonably happy down here.
Of course, you zapped round here in a Jaguar, and I think you probably went as fast as they go now.
I can't remember the sort of lap times we used to, but yeah, the IMSA Jaguars had incredible downforce and a 5-speed manual gearbox and a great big V12 in the back. There was a mighty engine, but yeah, we had some good races here. 88 and 90 Jaguar versus Porsche, but I think this is probably one of the highest quality grids I've ever seen at Daytona. I think all the way through, the quality and depth is unquestionably the highest, and that's why we've seen so few yellows. Alex was telling me before the race we're barely going to see a yellow because the cars are good, so many pro driver lineups as well, and we've seen very few crazy incidents even with that sudden downpour, so it reminds you of the quality of the field.
No, you were telling me when we were having a chat earlier in the paddock that you're really proud of the way Alex has developed as a driver.
Yeah, he's 27 years old, he's worked hard, he just got the full, you know, all of the tools, all of the skill sets required now to be a very successful long-distance driver, sports car driver. It suits him, suits his men.
But I remember experiencing one of Alex's very early Formula 3 races at, I think, Thruxton in the UK, and that was probably a good 10 years ago now, so it's amazing, isn't it, how old it makes you feel when you realise how much time has passed.
Well,
you think, oh, the youth is coming through, and they're nearly 30 now.
Well, yeah, I mean, I remember way back.
Ranking about to come towards the tri-oval, one going an awful lot more quickly than the other, it would appear, so that's maybe the 69 about to go a lap down on the outside. These are two GTD cars, and that is a class still led by the 29 Audi, the white and green example of Sheldon van der Linde, with Ben Keating in second position for Riley Motorsports in their Mercedes-AMG. Rolf Eichen at the wheel of the 11 Lamborghini Huracan once again. That's the Mirko Bortolotti car. And who else will we be seeing at the wheel of that machine? Frank Pereira and Rick Brokers has already been doing some driving. Andy Lally's fourth in GTD ahead of Townsend Bell in the 64 Ferrari and Alvaro Parent in that 86 Acura NSX, which is one of those two cars, the 93 being the other one.
They'll get it back as soon as the other guys make their pit stops because they're out of sequence. Yeah, that's right. They've just made a pit stop just 3 or 4 laps ago. So that dropped them from 3rd position overall to off to the lead lap, but they will get that back when everybody else comes onto pit lane. I would expect...
His son Rick is getting behind the wheel for his first night stint around Daytona International Speedway. Car comes off the air jacks. Rick will have fresh tires and a lot of fuel, as well as a bit of oil topped off on the back of the car. Rick has no problem exiting the pit lane.
So the green Lamborghini back on the move, and I was hearing about Ivo Broikers actually during Rick's earlier stint in the race. Ivo living every single moment for young man Rick and almost steering through the corners. Now there was a little bit of an off-track moment there for Ben Keating, the second place GTD car, which is the Riley Mercedes, caught in a load of traffic and having to make room for quite a number of prototypes, just in a bit sideways there. Not sure there, Owen.
From as far as the entry there, and then he got pushed out wide. It's basically a one-line groove through there. You get outside that groove, and there's all the tire debris, everything out there, and that's what he got into, and the car got really loose on him. So it's going to take him probably a lap or so, or maybe 2 laps to get all that debris off the tires and get back to pace. But he's doing a fabulous job to hold second down in GTD. Like Jim and I were talking earlier, Ben is getting his time in early, front-loading him, and then save the pros here for the end of the race.
But he also qualified the car as well, which meant he had...
We've got enough pace as some of the other guys, but so far so good.
And you're feeling good? You felt good at the wheel?
Yeah, I felt great. I was going to do a triple, but the way we're doing tires, we only did a double.
Terrific team you put together here, Scotty.
Thanks, man.
Scott Sharp with Andrew Marriott down in our Continental Tire pit lane. It's 11 o'clock, so nearly fireworks time, Japs. And another little milestone reached in the race. The big wheel is all worked
together, yeah.
And I'm sure there's still the old sneaky chat in places like Marion's between the two brothers just to find out what's going on in each of the teams. How much they'll give away is another question, as the fireworks let rip then from just in front of Lake Lloyd, lighting up the sky here at Daytona International Speedway, the 56th running of the Rolex 24. And the atmosphere, were it not smoky enough with all the barbecues nearby, about to get very cloudy indeed, which might affect visibility in the odd place around the track. The drivers need to be careful not to get distracted by these fireworks that are there for the fans. Now, Sheldon van der Linde being lined up by Andrew Marriott for a quick conversation. He's been very, very fast in the 29 Audi. Sheldon just having a quick debrief.
Has the Audi got a full lap lead? Or not quite? Every time I look at it, it's minus 1 lap.
That's the case, yes.
Every time I look at the score, it's
well, that's actually equal to the team. So Lant Motorsport figure they've got a lap lead. They might be slightly biased, but I'm sure they're stating facts there. And that's the beauty of having such a strong driving lineup and so few yellows.
It's in 7th place, just 1 lap off the pace. And all of a sudden now, that car is 3 laps behind at almost 5-minute pit stop for car number 90. So we're trying to find out what the problem is there. Meantime, in GTLM, the two Fords running pretty much in lockstep at the front. They've just both been in for service. Well, the 67 car was in moment.
Just because we're able to jump in the same cars in different countries with different teams and feel straight at home.
Of course, years ago, I think I remember in Formula Renault, you managed to make that transition from single-seaters. I guess, like everyone, you had a dream of going to Formula One, but here you are with a great career going.
Yeah, it's been going great, so I was in the right place at the right time for a few things. One of my first gentleman drivers, Klaas Hummel. I raced with him for a few years and then eventually got given the opportunity to race at the Nürburgring with Black Falcon. And
his way through that very tight chicane now at the bus stop if you go straight on there, and since then it's just been trying to cruise that car back and do minimal damage to that right rear corner.
Done a good job, but sadly a large chunk of that car is now missing, Shea Adam, including one of the tail lights. So Wayne Taylor Racing setting to work.
Back out as it is.
There's coolant pouring from the right-hand side, I'm afraid.
Yes, we've got a new crew on the 67 car too, and yeah, just so proud of everyone. They've been working really hard. The car is performing really well. It's been fast. Yeah, we had a little scare at the end of the first stint with wet one from the boss man, so a lot of work to do yet. We're not really thinking that far ahead, but yeah, we're working hard, and we're going to try to keep it clean, which is a huge challenge around here, but so far so good.
Good luck, Ryan.
Thank you.
Mechanics can work on that car and are permitted over the pit wall. So actually those two cars side by side where they've been positioned this year at Daytona with car setup, i.e. cambers, or whether they've just been incredibly unlucky, difficult for us to tell from this distance. And also
don't take any chances right now, just help each other out. Still a long way to go. We got just over 15 hours to go at this point. The big thing, Johnny, is we've had some of these tire issues down the back straightaway, down to the bus stop. How much debris is down in that area that we're not actually seeing or picking up on our television screens that we're from all these tire issues that we've had.
Yeah, you're right. We've got a lot of bits and pieces and nasty stuff out there, which can easily cause more problems as well.
It does become more and more like a gramophone record, if you like. The fact that there is one track rather than being taken nose first in, as the spirit of Daytona car was the number 9.
8-6 for Joey Handon, number 66 car. None of the other contenders have been below, what, 44.5 basically. Most of the other cars, the Corvettes and the Porsches, both about 44.
Needs that top end speed, then you're going to trim it out and just got to deal with it in the infield. I've always remember when we ran the DPs here that it seemed like Chip Ganassi always trimmed his cars out in the DP days. So maybe they did that with the 4GT also here. Maybe that's why it's shown some pace here, and they're trimmed out. I've talked to those guys in the past when we covered the races last year that car is more of a momentum. You you got to roll the center of the corner, keep the apex speed up, and so they've been on their own and be able to bank on that there might have been more caution. We've heard some of the interviews from the drivers that they're expecting more cautions at certain times, and we've just had that one caution. And we're coming up on the 15-hour mark, so I mean, it's just unbelievable that we've been green this long.
Yeah, continues to be. Remember, 2,760 miles is the longest we've ever done in this race.
We're now on a fresh set of Continental tyres. There's number 911 Porsche, the big spin at the bus stop.
Big spin, Jeremy. Looks like got the rear wing, got into the tire wall there. He's moving now, but
yeah, he lost the rear wing as well, hasn't he?
This is you might see some guys diving from pit road here.
Fourth place
possibly
car.
too, yeah.
Fourth place car in GTLM. Then problems for was that Patrick Pete, Nick Tandy.
Porsche off on the grass, sorry.
Bus stop, yeah, we were just talking about, lost the rear wing and definitely had contact with the tire wall there. I don't know. We were just seeing a shot of that. He was running with one of the GTLM cars.
With the Corvette was right behind him. I think number 3 car from Garcia. Whoa!
Big off. Big off for the 911 car driven by Nick Tandy, and damage on the rear, damage on the front as well. Did it just step away from him? That might be what we've been talking about, just getting out of the groove there into the bus stop chicane, and there was zero grip, just a little bit wide on the entry. The car switched ends so quickly. Thankfully, Nick caught the tyres rather than the safer barrier, but it's whipped off the rear wing of that Porsche. It's pummeled both sides of the rear bumper, it looks like, and also caught the front as well. So that car immediately going behind the wall to be received by the team, and they can assess quite how much damage has been done to that car. Thank you to Diana Binks as well, who's just taken over from Shay Adam down in the Continental Tyre pit lane, who reports actually the 9-0 car has got a misfire that they are trying to address. Meanwhile, you've managed to find somebody to chat to.
I'm with Mike Conway from the number 7 Running Engineering car. Mike, you were obviously having a nice seat up there on the pit wall, and I've just managed to drag you down. Are you sort of relatively happy with how you're back in the car?
I'll be back in next, but I think from an hour and a half.
Thanks, Mike.
So Mike Conway with Diana Binks there, and as I say, she's reporting, Diana, off-air to me, that the 9-0 car has a misfire that Spirit of Daytona are still trying to chase, but I mean, it's very, very tricky to work out where that
is going again.
309 laps completed by Joao Barbosa, a race leader, and the 10 car, 2-9, yes it is, more or less 10, possibly 11 laps. Let's hear from Nicolas Lapierre, who's now with Andrew Marriott in the Continental Tyre pit lane.
Nico, when I took a break, I was watching all the lap times very carefully. When you were in the car before, you were one of the very quickest guys out there. You were really doing some quick lap times.
Some safety car, and we will be able to catch a few laps, but now we are 4 laps down, so it's quite a lot, but let's see, we're not even half
of the last few years too, but maybe another team relying on some more yellows. Yes, I thought for a moment we're going to get treated to an opportunity to describe the Nick Tandy moment to you again. We were wondering whether Nick was about to be lapped by a prototype possibly into the bus stop, and therefore had adjusted his line, because he was nowhere near the apex for that first left-hand element of the bus stop, was he? And that threw him out of the groove where there's zero grip, as we've been saying.
Yeah, it certainly looked like somebody else might well have been involved there. Not going to speculate.
Out of range, so I can talk to you while I was in there. They are trying to trace that misfire. They're changing the plugs and they've refired it up, but it absolutely doesn't sound good at all. So they've shut the engine down yet again, and the engineers are in the back working furiously, but I think it's going to be some time. It doesn't look like that's going to be an easy fix over there for those guys, unfortunately.
That would be very
Then the 62 Risi Competizione Ferrari ahead of Tommy Milner's hour now, and the lights are still glaring. This place in its past has been incredibly dark during the night time, but so well floodlit is the area, particularly around the tri-oval, you could be forgiven for thinking it's still daytime. Certainly settled into a rhythm now with Joao Barbosa for Mustang Sampling Racing leading by 30 seconds. GTLM car of Joey Hand in car 66 out front for by, well, just 0.1 of a second now. So the two Fords right together and onto the infield. So is this a problem potentially for Joey Hand, or maybe it's...
He should have gone and, oh, God, is this another puncture? Yes, it is. This is the third place car.
Yeah,
this
right
is Philippe
rear.
Nasser. And guess what? It's a right rear tyre, and guess what's happened just before he went into the bus stop? Exactly the same places. All the tyre failures have been happening, whether it's front or rear.
We were actually a little critical initially because Phil didn't back the pace off enough. We felt
far too fast.
He
He was ready to get out of the car. And he was told to stay in, and that's what I think about before. But with so many right rear tyres going down, you can't take a tyre from the other side of the car and put it on the unidirectional, not omnidirectional. You can't use the one from the front because
or still single stinted tyres.
Yeah, well, Conti was saying that, well, that's a good point in terms of your tyre allowance, isn't it? Conti was saying people going outside the recommended pressures and setup, and it's particularly prevalent on double-stinted tyres, so it might be on the double-stinted tyres. So I suppose that in terms of impact on your tyre allowance, that's slightly... Oh, dear. There's somebody else diving down the inside at the first of the two horseshoes. That's the 33 Mercedes-Benz. And who's at the wheel of that at the moment? That's a good question. I can't find it on the timing screen.
Up on page 1 now, I think.
Wow,
GTD.
GTD leaders. Third in place. It's Adam Christodoulou, works Mercedes driver. Schmidt, Legg and Catherine as they head down to the braking area right in front of us, but over the far side of the circuit, and there's more traffic there as the 86 Acura NSX holds on to second place.
Just dive to the inside there did Christodoulou through into the lead. I would expect that car to be on pit lane next time around.
Ryan Briscoe behind the wheel of the
Jason to that to Acura.
More news from Continental Tyre. The failure on the 31 car, the wheel engineering car, was on a triple stint, and they are looking at the tyre.
Triple earlier in the race, and managed to get that back again on pace. So we're still not not even close to halfway through the race, are we? Still a couple of hours and a half to go before that. So plenty of time for things to shake out there.
66 degrees on the track, Fahrenheit that is, of course, 64 in the air, so
quite comfortable here in 29, in the violation here.
Right, and hearing from race control, this is, I believe, a boost or a BOP violation, and it's a 5-minute hold.
That's exactly right.
5-minute hold.
I have no chance to. He's going a lot quicker, or not necessarily he's going a lot quicker. There's something about it. He wasn't going to elaborate. He won't elaborate, but there's something within the performance of that car, or it's either on track or in the pits or whatever it might be, and I really don't know.
The only thing that I can think of that they would have picked up in terms of live telemetry is overboosting, and they can monitor that. They will have
or fuel flow or something like that, indeed, because it certainly isn't. It's not going particularly fast. It's not going the same sort of pace that was shown in qualifying, for example. So it's not just a lap speed for sure.
Well, I don't think lap speed necessarily hold. It is the Swiss driver at the wheel of the 29 at the moment.
So now we have a new leader. Adam Christodoulou goes across the line now in car number 33.
About it, and got plenty of time to get back.
10 seconds indicated by the official, maybe a little more. He's got the watch. And go. 3, 2, 1, and go. And Jeffrey Schmidt is back. Now what he's got to do now is keep those emotions under control. There's right rear, Owen. This is extraordinary. Even at this time of the night with temperatures holding up pretty well, but another right rear puncture. I don't know what to make about this.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to make...
We've had
that doesn't matter which car.
More. We have a good strategy guy, and for sure we'll come back.
So what can you do about now? What are you going to do now about the refueling then? Because you're going to refuel at the same rate, I would have thought.
And the man behind Monoplast by Land Racing. Fuel timing issues. They are fueling too quickly. There's a 40-second fuel time for that GTD car. They've been doing it quicker, and that has brought them a 5-minute, a stop and 5-minute penalty. That has been served. Jeffrey Schmidt is now back out on the track, but they've lost a couple of laps to the new leader in GTD, Adam Christodoulou, with now Rick Breukers in second place in the Ferrari. That means Catherine Legge must have stopped for a restrictor into your fuel rig, either opening it up or closing it down. 92 litres goes in at the same pace and takes the same amount of time to quite get his parking skills right there as he drives it straight in. The patrol mechanic's already there from ESM, fourth position. And off has gone is that Ricardo Gonzalez? He's just come out of the pits in the 52.
Yep, cold tires going down into the first horseshoe there.
And another car going slow down towards, in fact, in the middle. That's the 77 Mazda, Rene Rast, behind the wheel of that car. Now, this is the Mazda that had problems earlier on with gearbox issues. And we've got a full, yes, we have got a full course yellow. Full course yellow for the 52. And that was Ricardo Gonzalez out on his out lap.
Goes at 5 till. Well, 6 car is in as well. So all 3 cars on the lead lap coming in right now. The number 37 car.
Oh, hello.
We've had 2 cautions here, and we've got 15 hours to go. And so gambling here, unless we get some fog in the morning, they may not see another caution. You know, let's go ahead and do it now while we got this caution that's guaranteed.
Finish of the race tomorrow afternoon. It's a new caliper. The caliper has the pads already in there, so that's what we see.
Joe, there's an errant tyre in the pit lane. Not sure where that's come from. I don't know. Sort of in the radiator, the back of the radiator ducts there, and there was 2 guys at one stage. Now that wheel has gone back to the 37 team.
Yeah, GTD teams I was talking about, there's a big window for changing the tyres, anywhere between sort of 8 hours and basically 1/3 distance.
If you can get 15 hours out of a set of discs, then at any stage now is going to be the time to change those discs. And
to IMSA Radio, we're live from trackside as part of Corvettes are in. Tommy Milner and Antonio Garcia brought those cars in. James Collado is in as well, and brake change for the 3 car as well there, Owen. The 4 doing without and just about getting round.
Which just pulls out back into the fray, into the line of GTD cars.
Now 2 laps back rather than 3 will be number 32 Will Owen, which didn't duck back onto pit lane after the wave around.
I've done, and that's why. Let's go down to Diana Binks, who is with Dave Bink. He seems, hang on a second, somebody's just gone off under yellow. Is that the 31 car?
It's a 31, yeah, it's a 31 car.
Nasser. Yep. But Diana in a moment, he was going past the Monoplast car. No, that was fine. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Coming up behind, now got everybody getting ready to go, and we've got a car coming into the pit lane off the apron, and sure that's really the way the restarts are meant to work, and that is a prototype into the pit lane and going straight behind the wall, and that's Ryan DL in the number 2. Ryan DL in the number 2, straight behind the wall and back to the garage. Now we've seen that car in the garage recently. We didn't find out what the problem with what that car was, but we've got another chance now because it's back in with the same issue, presumably, as the leaders then head off on the infield through the dogleg, through the kink, and down towards the far end of the track from us. And it is Ricky Taylor, Simon Pagenaud, Joao Barbosa, Philippe Nasser, all together.
Yes.
And of course, Nasser,
because of that class split,
getting the class split, gets all the way onto the back. So that makes anybody who didn't get the wave by even more of a disadvantage. So that's a really strange one. Great work by the Action Express, the 31 Wheel and Engineering, should I say, car. The binoculars on there. There's still a healthy crowd here, even at this time of the night. Many of them congregating in that fan area by the garages. And as soon as anybody heads back there, they're outside the garage, and that's exactly what's happening at the moment. There's a small phalanx of people around the ESM garage.
And Fernando Alonso, by the way, took advantage of that restart. He's made himself a couple of positions. Number 23 car in 6th place.
Another penalty, Jeremy.
The lead lap, aren't they, in GT Daytona? 33, 86, 48, 11, 64, and 44. Finish line all the way through to the...
No, it's not. He's gone to his pit. Thought he'd gone too far down. And... brake master cylinder problem for the 23. Fernando Alonso missing turn 1 completely as this battle for second goes on out onto the high banks of Daytona, and this time Joao Barbosa gets to the inside very early, and he is getting the side draft now. They're side by side, and Barbosa's creeping forward, and Nasir is the man who's getting the big draft at the moment. They'll go 3 wide into the braking area for the bus stop, and Nasir in the 31 car goes from 4th to 2nd. Can he get it stopped? He can. Marvellous bit of driving by Nasir. He is catching on very quickly to driving on ovals. That was an absolute classic NASCAR move. That was a stock car move there from Philip.
Did a great job getting the side draft from Pagenaud, and then Nasser was there to capitalize on both of them.
Just had to time that right and timed it immaculately. Could see what was developing ahead of him. Third, Simon Pagenaud goes from 2nd down to 4th. And he's dropping away as he is struggling with the 37 car. Now that's Robin Freins, and he's the next car back, but he's 2 laps back. But Freins is on a tear at the moment. Fastest man on the track starts to carve a rut, and that's not necessarily a problem unless you come back on and you can easily catch the inside wall of the tyre.
Yeah, you can, and on the apex before you exit there, you could actually hook the right front to there if you dig a rut there. And then we were talking about that earlier as the rains came, that it got really muddy, you know, if you got offline.
He can't get past Simon Pagenaud, even though I'm sure he feels it. But we almost touch! And NASCAR won, and this time it is again side by side, and Freins down to the low side, but he's got one of the Corvettes. He can't go down. You know, you saw it run through his mind. I'm going to go to the left and under. Morning here, as Lando Norris is still in the 23 car, which is back in the pit lane, and they are still working on that brake issue. It's going to be a replacement of the brake master cylinder on the 23 Ligier. Fernando Alonso with problems at turn 1, shot straight through, back on the banking, which gave him an impressive sector 1 time of 10.5 seconds. Pagenaud getting new Continental tyres. Door is open there, so I think off the pit lane. Right, here's the 6 car rolling now. Get his head in gear, jump into the car.
A bit sooner than I need to, so I can get up, take another shower, kind of refresh, and then go down and talk to the crew a little bit before I'm going to get in to make sure everything's kind of, you know, what's going on with the car, so I get feedback from that driver that's getting ready to get out, and just bring it up to speed. Barbosa's already been out there for a stint, already knows how the tires, how many laps it's going to take to come in. He's warmed up himself, and he's got to get the temps up in the tires, and he's ready to go. So he's going to come out a little bit quicker than Graham. But obviously this time, you know, at the night, close racing, but you don't need to make a big mistake here.
Graham trying to go around the outside into turn 1 of the 31 car and claim back 2nd position, and once again Robin Freins is right in there. Nasser is getting away. The lead, 2nd place rather, having changed just a lap or so ago. Right rear Continental pretty much on the grass from Felipe Nasser. In fact, he was on the grass. All of his Continentals were on the grass through the dog leg in the IMSA Broadcast Centre at IMSA Radio. '29 Land Audi, just good fun. Into the pit box for 2 GT cars, one being the Land Motorsport car, and that looks like a longer stop with the door open. We'll have a look at that and see what those guys are doing. Actually, you know what? I can get that with the binos. They're in the door on the right-hand side. As, oh, hang on a second, Lando Norris is about to rejoin. There's the monoplast by Land car. So working in the right-hand side, that tends to be where the electrical units are. As out onto the pit lane comes the evening. Share what was going on there?
Nothing untoward, John.
Yeah, in GTD. I said he would be coming in shortly, and he's come in now. Cleaning off the front.
77 with Oliver Jarvis being pushed the wrong way down the pit lane. It's going back to the garage.
We've definitely got a good battle for the top three during this stint right now. It just keeps coming, the rubber band, they keep coming right back together. This set of cars has just been the class of the field.
Barbosa was nearly 4 seconds, over 4 seconds ahead a couple of 3 laps ago.
Why would you even do that?
It's not good etiquette. I understand when you're putting a lap on somebody or a slower car. As 86, Allmendinger tries to go around the outside and he's hung himself out to dry. That was the smart move by AJ, getting on the outside of a corner.
Yeah, John, I mean, to your point, it's like, I mean, if you're coming up on some lap cars, but I mean, it's a race for position. Why are you trying to distract that guy? And then Bryce is not the pro in the car either, so I don't know if AJ feels like he can try to take advantage of that situation and distract him to try to get a pass done. But hey, Bryce is out there holding his own against AJ, and you know, they're racing for position. Don't pull over for him.
No, exactly. But then again, at this stage of the race, I'm not sure how hard Bryce wants to fight. A little bit of trim on the left rear wheel arch, coming loose on the 48 as we can hear. Now, I may have missed Ben Keating on the radio earlier on, but he started off with an Ironman triple stint in that car, stayed in the top 10 in the 33 for a
pink. There's some smoke that comes across the track right there. But I was shocked, you know, I was driving in the car when they did the fireworks tonight, and I was shocked at how the smoke, instead of rising, the smoke really came down.
A lot of things happen when they move it forward. Nothing big or major. It's kind of, as we say, evolution, not revolution. It just continued to evolve the car. The center of gravity only moved a tiny bit, but it moved everything towards the middle, and that definitely helps when it comes to the ramp.
Leaders are in the pit lane together, all 3 cars. Dave Engelman from Porsche will stay with us, and Shea Adam will watch the pit stop of Graham Rahal in the number 7 Acura.
They are not planning a driver change. It will be fuel only. No Continental tires even up on the wall for Graham, but they are giving him a new drinks bottle. Graham, who is eagerly revving the engine. He wants to get back out there, having a lot of fun battling on track. The crew checking the front of the car. Very interesting that they've changed the nose on this car before taking dive planes off and putting them on. The smoke off the brakes is something phenomenal. It's worth seeing. And now we've got the 5 down off the air jack, so they did a tire change. The 6 and the 7 did not. Graham leads. Graham will inherit the lead off of the pit stops as the 5 comes by the 6 pit box now.
Well, that's interesting to me. Thank you, Shea, because you get the guys at Penske and find out if they did short fill the Graham Rahal car to get that track position, one of our keys to the race here, Shea.
Unlike the sister car, the 6
reintroduced of 4-cylinder Porsches. And I say reintroduced because I also want a 4-cylinder Porsche, albeit with an engine in the front, but I think about mid-engine 4-cylinders.
It's the sound of the flat 6, but it doesn't take you too long to get over that. It's just different.
Right tire changer, the guy who's in charge of the front tires, coming around and changing.
That we have, and then we have a 4-star restaurant. We
yeah,
have
well,
all
you don't even have to drive. Come up and sit and watch everything going on and eat fabulous food.
The Heritage Center that we have, it's you know, and that we change out every 6 months. We have a whole bunch of Jeff Swartz Pikes Peak cars.
He's done all right here as well. I think he's got a decent collection of Rolex watches from here, hasn't he?
He does, yeah. He reminds me of that occasionally. When I see him,
so, big spin for our leader.
That's the leader.
Graham Rahal has gone off at turn 1 now. Did he jump or was he pushed? All the way.
And maybe, you know, fuel's burning off too. Looks like he's got a little bit of a wiggle maybe from the rear brakes. Maybe just a little bit too much rear brake there.
So, Graham Rahal with young Chargers giving it their all at this time in the early morning. Making up the top 6 is the 37 Oracle Felix Rosenqvist, who comes around in 3rd position. Mike Rockefeller's getting service right now. The front cover is for Pagenaud, so in theory Pagenaud should have a slightly wider window. GTD, by the way, Andrea Caldarelli is now... Well, this has been the story of the race.
I don't remember them having one. I think this might be...
Take us with you on the IMSA app at radiolemans.com and the player at IMSA.com and IMSA.tv. And here in North America, service has received service, and that Mustang sampling car is down and away.
Get out. They've built this piece, manufactured it to fit in exactly like a puzzle. I mean, the curvatures are exact to the car because they don't want the drivers accidentally left-hand side of the car. Fuel is now done. The driver change panel is removed. And Dane is gone.
Shit, they didn't put tyres on that. Season last year with a couple of different chassis combinations. They were hoping for at least a repeat of their podium position from last year. Now, just a few moments ago, going up onto the high banks, very close call indeed. In fact, I think a little touch from the, I think.
It's one of the United Autosports.
Yes, it
I think,
was.
With, was that the Paul Miller? Yeah.
Dumpty.
Shea Adam in picture down there, working hard as our problem on the infield. That's a 37 car, I think. It's very dark out there. And the rear wing has gone. There's been contact. The rear wing and the left rear bodywork on Olofsson car. Changing the regulations this year for the GT Le Mans cars to have white headlights. The 2 professional classes having white coloured headlights, with the GT Daytonas still having the yellow ones. And what Shea Adam has just described as the injured car is pulling up next to her right now.
Strange.
Definitely had contact with something solid coming through the bus stop. Once again, Chris and the team have done it. Just took too much curb in the middle section. Spears off to driver's left. Once he's got on the grass, I'm presuming that's still going to be a little bit wet there, Owen. And chicane was put in there many years ago for the super fast prototypes pulling 220 and more. The tyre company's worried about them going into turn 3 at such high speeds. So the bus stop chicane was inserted. I seem to remember up at Charlotte Motor Speedway in the early years of the American Le Mans series. Previous iteration, there's as much talent on the pit wall as there is behind the wheel. And I think that's borne out by what Shea's saying there. Just a little whoopsie there for Austin Cindric, talking of Timmy's dad.
But that was when his mom had to come down because Dad was busy setting up the Penske Supercars team, and his mom had to rent a car for him because he was too young. And he's still too young, for the record, by the way. But I think he was about 17 at the time, maybe 18. It was a lot of fun. We're getting ready for more pit stops down here, John. GTLM cars, those teams have...
Just switch the... it is... Well, that was Pat Long.
Pat Long in there, yeah. So he was down to the inside, so we didn't see the whole...
I think that might be Robert Renard, from what I remember. He did the wheels were... Watched in for the 31. Shea Adam is watching it. Door is open.
It should be fuel only. They're doing a drinks bottle change. And
quick. His best is a 44.0 as into the pit lane comes Jordan Taylor. New 73, now on 3.97. Car going slowly on the back straight. It's the 55 Mazda. And it's Harry Tinknell behind the wheel. Harry's had his fair share of problems in that car. This must be disheartening for these guys. First race with your very pretty looking car. Shea Adam is watching this one coming in, Shea.
The tire is almost completely off the rim as the 911 leaves into pit box, makes a little bit of a racket. That's almost dangerous, the way that the rubber is flailing about. As the number 6, the Penske is in. Dane Cameron pulls that to a stop.
Graham Rahal now pits. And that is 21 laps. That is a proper stint, Shea Adam. I have to say, there was far less flame coming out of the second of the Penskes that pit. It's almost like they've got a stop-start system on that.
It is, yeah, like they've got some program.
The week, there's repeating again, the first roads-going street car for Europe, delivered to the UK last week via the Ford dealership in Leamington Spa, Scott Allen's, if I remember correctly. Somebody waggishly suggesting that it was sometime offering this. Oh, front straight, a problem. And it's the 19 car. That's looked like an engine problem going through there. I caught the end of that as it was going past us.
I just saw a load of smoke, John, and then realized it was being led by the number 19 Lamborghini, the Grasser Racing team.
And that's must be rubber that Shea can smell.
It's coming again through the trial again.
Exactly the same point. Beneath us. Well, I'm not sure that. Oh yes, just a little bit.
Still, just a little bit.
Yeah. So if it's oil, the oil's nearly burnt off. If it's tyre, there's a groove worn in the tyre. But Jens, I seem to remember telling me it cost them more than half a year, more than 6 months. That's cost them development time. Let's say good morning to Andrew Marriott, who has joined us in the pit lane. Morning, Andrew.
Oh, good morning, John. Do you know what? I managed to get my head down on a very comfortable sofa for about 2 hours.
Well done.
Don't think I slept much, but I'm just seeing the 22 car arrive with a lot of smoke coming out of it, actually. I think this could be a big fire now. Fire started. It's quickly extinguished. The fire came out of the exhaust. The rear deck is coming out. But this is a major drama for the 22 here. Just as I walk onto the pit lane, it all kicks off. Well, that's what I'm here for, isn't it?
Pipo Durrani, who brought that car in, right side of the engine bay, being peered at. That's oil smoke that's coming out of there, and that looks to me like the classic old turbo blow. Turbo seal, maybe.
Pretty turbulent, and yes, it has blown up. So, while the car is being pushed away, as you see, and looks like the end of a great effort for the 22.
That looked very much to me like
juggling that, he's juggling his phone, he's texting, he's on the scanner, and the boy's doing well. He's battling for the lead of this class, just 5 seconds behind at the moment.
Yeah.
This car seems to be running perfectly at the moment.
Yeah, at the moment we have done a
base diesel engine car, led this race on economy and pace, and Harry Tinknell's got another puncture, I think, and I think it's another left rear for that car. New driver in, waiting for the few back to the pits. As Jordan Taylor has brought the 10 Cadillac in. It's about that time, isn't it, for pit stops. John Bennett has just gone out in the leading Trim and Aitken Award prototype.
Kirk at the wheel of that car, and some attention going on to what is effectively the passengers.
Had a good stint there.
Yeah, we had a good stint. Car feels good.
Good morning.
Not if you've been with us since the start of the race, because they started watching at 7:40 p.m. and they've been up literally all night. And encouragement. My Twitter handle is @
on out there, and obviously, I had a little spin of my own, so we got to keep this thing in one piece, keep it clean, and just really.
Land Motorsport Audi R8, and that's had a big penalty for the organisers, we think, for fueling too quickly. They're only allowed to fuel at a certain rate, and apparently they put the fuel in too quickly, so they had a 5-minute hold here in the pit. So that's and the car powers away. away. The crew get hold of that punctured.
It's across the board, and that for me just shows just how competitive things are at the 65 laps completed. And just to finish on the Lando Norris,
well done.
Thank you. Johnny, Stuart Mack and Josh Barrett bring our attention to the car to any great aspect. The car is wheeled back into the paddock effectively.
You can't do that in the sea unless you put a boat out in the ocean and then say it's raining now and it's probably going to head towards you, but then the wind direction's crazy because it's the sea. And because the weather comes straight off the ocean, I would imagine it's actually pretty difficult to predict in reality. Well, we're going to be doing a little bit of a reset shortly on RS2 IMSA radio because getting to the point where there are 14 hours.
For the past 5 years, this is the exact same tyre. So as I perceived or that question, Mitch Mullins, if you do, if you are
convert it back to service, car 25 now finding the garages, or at least the garage areas, for the BMW number 25.
Yeah, he has found it, Johnny. It's he's down in 45th place. It's Philip Eng at the wheel of that car, so problems bringing that car behind the wall. He's already got team personnel from the completely into the garage. As into the pits has come the number 31.
The service that you would do, i.e. putting fuel in, changing the Continental tyres, but you also
bolts on and off at the rear of the car. The one that came off looked completely intact and there was nothing apparent there. So I suppose that's a little task for Andrew down there in the pit lane to find out if the number 31 Action Express team are running a different setup. Basically, it's much quicker to unbolt. I think 2 bolts hold those sections on.
Big ones on the infield, but otherwise, left-handers are predominantly the corner that we'll find. And obviously, that's technically, therefore, the wheel, the tyre that's doing a greater distance. The wheels last year, well, effectively, the lead up to this race. So, going out with LEXUS, fabulous manufacturer.
Have their unique feel to them. And certainly coming here to Daytona and looking across that infield where the floodlights light.
You thankfully didn't hear Andrew shouting to me off air that he'd got Gustavo lining up. It's very early in the morning now, and my brain is...
And he'll take his gloves off. The helmet will come off, has to remove the hands device, of course, and incidentally, I hear somebody shine a bit.
Yeah, that's certainly one of the difficult parts. I mean, especially when you get out.
Lead in GTD, but he effectively owes us a pit stop now. So the 48 car last stopping on lap.
As a unit, what I saw there was the caliper remained on the car, so that caliper, the calipers would have pushed out, the pistons on the calipers would have pushed out and narrowed the gap.
Struggling to overtake the GTLMs, and the caddies are just blowing past us. But, you know...
Race.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's still a long way to go, 9 hours, I believe, so yeah, it's still early.
Apart from the punctures and everything else, is the sort of strategy planning out as you wanted it?
No, not really. We've had a few punctures and 2 drive-throughs, so it's not been perfect, but it's 24 hours.
It's patience, isn't it? Very much patience is needed on a race like this. Patience is the thing that's needed on a race like this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it all matters in the last 2 hours, so you've got to stay cool and see what happens.
Thanks, Lan.
It's a really good lineup, though, down at Jackie Chan DCR Racing, and you didn't expect that from the David Cheng and the Jackie Chan combination. Jackie sadly not able to be here at the race.
You can't discount them, Johnny.
No.
You can't discount anyone right now.
Do so at your peril, I would say. Daniel Junkadea, highly experienced in the DTM, the German Touring Car Championship. Robin Fry.
Of cars, and you know, he does know things. So
it's
Big
not
C.
Oh, full course yellow full course yellow. This is only our third caution of the race. Phenomenally short of full course yellows we have been. And now this is where Rooftop Ray comes into his own, because look, he's hunting on the live stream, trying to work out what the issue is here, sniffing around, but the recovery vehicles get their lights illuminated. There is a slow car, we notice, just the other side of the bus stop chicane. That might have been the 73 Porsche. It certainly is a Porsche, and the car coming to a halt. Yes, it is the 73. Come on, let's go up onto the banking. So what happened to Jörg Bergmeister into the chicane? He went off the track to driver's left and possibly into the tyre barrier, because the section of Porsche stripped off the car there as well. That might only be a bit of a dive plane, or possibly at the bus stop chicane. But so I can't tell you quite how hard to operate one or two bits of full course yellow. So it shouldn't put us too far back. But here come the prototypes, and mixed in with these are the two leaders in GTLM, Sebastian Bourdais and Scott Dixon. Still need to ask the question of exactly what that noise is that sounds a bit like a fridge buzzing, frankly, when the Fords break into the horseshoes on the infield. But before that, the 5 car is now being the lengthier service on both cars. And I mean, these 4 GTs run by Chip Ganassi, our Grand Marshal for the 56th running of the Rolex. It is here,
Wait and see.
It's made the trip.
Yeah, it has made the trip. Yeah, we're expecting a lot colder temperatures. I'm not sure of the moisture in the air, most definitely.
Here come the GT Daytona cars. We'll explain the concept of a bobble hat to anyone that's an alien to you, because I know that
seat mould in, so obviously before he can jump in, he needs to get that, and his water bottle. I can see them putting that in for them. No, it looks like the front.
At home, get well soon, Gary.
Yes, get well soon, Gary. We need you back in the paddock as soon as possible.
We do, mate. You need more Robert Shaw stories, don't you, Johnny? And of which,
I've had plenty of them.
Of which more later. He's everyone's telling me, and Gary just puts a brand name on it. It's a Mega Line system.
Yes, he does want to break, but his man, he's very kindly stayed here just while I have a quick.
Seems to be okay. You know, right rear's given up, and we have some, you know, power down traction stuff, but everybody seems to be dealing with it, are really capable. So certainly this is one of those opportunities, and you know, it's a privilege to be a part of it. I'm honored.
Team machine. Pit stops taking place for the 2 Chevrolet Corvettes, one of which having to be backed up, and
who'll be making her racing debut in a BMW E36 at Road Atlanta in March. Good luck, Astrid. And one day, you never know, it could be shouting out your name across the airwaves and across the tannoys of the Daytona International Motor Speedway.
Green, green, green here on RS2 IMSA Radio. The 3rd caution comes to a close, and this is one of the best bits of the Rolex 24 for me, to see this stream of cars head back across the line, then a Mexican wave of brake lights as the cars slow for the left-hander at turn 1, and everyone's trying to stay out of each other's way, but obviously you've got fast prototypes deep in the traffic trying to get by GT cars, and you can run as much as 3 abreast through that left-hand the left-hand horseshoe, if you like, through turn 1 and then into what many call Daytona's secret corner, that right and left kink up towards the international horseshoe. 8 hours and 35 minutes to go. We're nearing 5 past 6 in night. After at times a tricky night, it was more that rain shower that we had during darkness hours, but it was fairly early on in the evening, and a question of just is a great one. And those teams wanting a few more stoppages, a few more sustained periods of yellow, that might well come to them towards the end of the race, because certainly the route to the checkered flag is not going to be played safe. For championships, the 24H GT Series, the TCE Series, which is the Touring Car Endurance Series, and the Proto Championship. In that category racing, normally it's a 2-hour limit, isn't it? Which is quite restrictive to the teams.
Well, it adds a completely separate strategy, because so that car is going to lose more time. And I got excited there because Peter...
Super organised, these teams. They know what they need to do, how long it's going to take them.
and all sorts of things like that. Yeah, but and here's the number 5 car into the pits for
the leader.
But also, we noticed
have had quite so many failures or punctures as the prototypes, which is certainly good news. There's one of the ACURAs out on the racetrack again. Is that not? It's not number 7. It's number 6, isn't it? Oh, I say. It's interesting.
And very nearly, if not a little brush of contact there with the race leader as well as they come out of the Speedway turn 2 and down the back straight. So Joao Barbosa fully alongside the 6 car to beat Felipe Nasser's fastest lap of the race, which still stands at 1 minute 37.475, done on lap 3.31. We're now working lap 5.46, and
yeah, he's gone straight back out.
Yeah, the top 2 cars in GT Daytona both in
extra seconds than it was stipulated in their regs, and then gets moving again. Sheldon van der Linde has been Paul Miller, Lamborghini, Frank Pereira in the 11 Lambo, 2 Ferraris up ahead, Paul Dall'Anna for Spiritual Race, and Frank Calvo in the 64, as Jeremy mentions. Jacob Olen in the 33, should be one of the next cars in for a pit stop in GTD, so that will shake out shortly. The 11 car is in fact in now, no big one was the 19, paint scheme. Lamborghini Huracan from Grasso Racing Team. While Ford electing to make their stops on back-to-back laps then, not the...
Oh.
Nice car going in, 77 Mazda, right, well.
Yeah, just a few minutes ago we crossed the threshold of 2/3 distance a little while ago. Now Jerome Leclerc, number 48 and number 86 car came in 2 laps ago. The number 64 and 11 cars came in on the previous lap, and number 4 on it, but no tape or anything on there, so I'm not sure what we're talking about. Meantime, a pit stop for the 2nd place car. That is Felipe Nasser in the Wheel and Engineering car, now resuming after making its 29th visit to the pit lane. And is it going to remain just 1 lap down, or is it 2 laps down? That battle very much on indeed GT Daytona. That's by far the best of the 3 classes in terms of the battles for the lead is concerned.
Doing all the right calls, so it's all going very well, but long way to go. We're going to keep our heads down and keep pushing.
Is it difficult to manage the tyres?
It's not 2 worlds apart, you know, it's similar, and the adaptation was quite quick.
Thanks, Alvaro.
Thank you, see you soon.
Do you think he refers to McLaren?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, I mean, that was a
politically correct answer.
How good a car that is, but the Acura is still in development, arguably.
Yeah, a rising star certainly in the open wheel ranks for quite a long time. Won the British Formula 3 Championship in 2005.
With Carlin, I think.
Yeah,
I remember those days.
That's right.
Certainly.
And then a couple of years later, won the Formula Renault 3.5 series as well. Did A1 GP5. So that team has done a great job. But with that pit stop sequence now completed, the lead reverts to number 48 car on Brian Sellers and Ligier. And that team's done a really, really good job. I mean, they're kind of the backs against the wall when they came here, having to adapt to the very different regulations. So Garage actually saved a fair bit of hassle because he got out, pulled it into the pits, got out of the car and sort of stormed off. And Lando Norris got aboard the car, but clearly wasn't going anywhere, and they quickly diagnosed there was a master cylinder failure on the car, took it back to the garage and lost a lot of time. In fact, they probably lost half an hour changing it, but now the car's running well. I was just talking about the pace of the race leader, wasn't I? Joao Barbosa. The previous lap, he turned a 138.
Class leaders, 20 prototypes into this race, 9 GTLMs and 21 GTDs. The GTD leader made it onto
Antonio Garcia. And he remains about a minute or a little bit more behind the class-leading GTLM cars. So 11th and 12th and number 67 and 66 Fords. Elio Castroneves back underway, 13th overall, and they're closing rapidly, of course, on those GTLM cars. And then Castroneves has fairly recently passed Antonio Garcia, who does remain at least on the lead lap in GTLM, so is poised in case, if there's another caution, he'll be able to get himself back into contention. But I think that the pace of the cars would suggest he doesn't really have much for the Fords this weekend.
Antonio Garcia's V8 Chevrolet, you can hear in the background of our coverage, as all of a sudden Elio Castroneves sticks in the best middle sector of anybody in the whole of the race so far. So Elio Castroneves' ACURA certainly back on song after sustained work in the garage from Team Penske.
I remember, I'll probably never forget seeing him at Petit Le Mans last year. I hadn't seen him for quite a long time. Obviously knew him fairly well when you believe how big his smile was. He's put on a couple of pounds around the waist, but I tell you what, he's lost none of his enthusiasm. In fact, I think he's regained his enthusiasm again. He was absolute that those cars are going to be fast as the season progresses, because they're the only cars, well, no, along with the Nissan, to be fair, that have shown themselves to be pretty close in pace to the Cadillacs.
JPM now 42 years old, Colombian driver. I remember particularly in his Formula 1 days, he's very dry sense of humour though as well, and does not suffer fools gladly, you might say. But terrific guy to have a chat to, and still massively enthusiastic about his racing, as Jeremy Cochran says. 7 hours and 25 minutes to go. A little bit of overlap here for the race leader. It's going to have to be wary. Now, Joao Barbosa is on an out lap, so tyres taking a while to come. They were. But actually, on the odd occasion, 67 would get ahead because they draw almost two abreast across the line.
They really have. Out separated by 3 or 4 seconds, and it's 3 or 4 seconds now, the gap between those two. There goes the second four, thanks Ray, into the International Horseshoe perch that we have on top of the magnificent new grandstand, stadium grandstand, overlooking the pits and all of the racetrack as well. I mean, we can basically see everything except for a few feet at the racetrack. Okay, it's a bit far away, some of it, but it's a magnificent view, and of course that view is available to anybody to get up into these grandstands here. There's quite a few, there's a pretty good smattering of people all the way along.
Yeah, I mean, big crowd actually in the grandstands at the start of the race, and I'm pleased to say they stayed for the what's this? Problems for the 10 again, and I have to say, not the first to the team garage. It's another rear right puncture though. Remember how much
system on that car went behind the wall for quite a long time, for probably about 20 minutes. No, not quite that much.
Thank you to Shay for buzzing in my ears, saying that the 67 Sport 2016 last victory for car 67. 66 on the other hand, better luck, and therefore the crew heading out turn 6, back them onto the bank and getting perilously close to the safer barrier into Speedway turn 1. Sticking another lap on the 33 Mercedes, the Riley Motorsports Mercedes of Jeroen Bleekemolen, who is trying to hunt down more than peeping through that cloud that's starting to break up a little bit. Just away in the distance behind Daytona International Airport and behind the back straight. A few years ago, of course, we used to have that giant grandstand. Last stop, car running around in 3rd position then, having completed 562 laps. Colin Brown in the 54 car is
2 cars. There's 4 chassis that are available, but they have their own styling cues and other changes, different engines as well, and laps behind the leaders. Jonathan Bomarito at the wheel of that car at the moment.
Andrew Marriott just coming back on shift as well for another spell in the Continental Tire pit lane. We're always trying to stay on top of the big out of the slower speed corners on the infield. When the punctures hit, it's a question of where the tyre deflates on the lap.
Access road there, yes. On the outside of the race, on the left-hand side of the racetrack, and drove it through the infield to get back to the pit lane. So big disappointment for that. Just look at the weather forecast, by the way. The rain that is still forecast for later on today has been drifting back. And it looks like now there's not, there's a 30% chance at 3 o'clock. Well, the race is done by then.
Car 44. Drew Davis currently at the wheel of that 7th placed GT Daytona car, and Andrew Marriott is down with Magnus for a comment.
Yes, I'm here. There's a coffee machine, and there's 3 frying pans going, and some mushrooms are now. They're just going into one omelette, and the other omelette is a cheese and mushroom or ham's going in as well. So just give you a bit of a flavour. What a setup John Potter puts together.
Can you bring one up here for us, Andrew, please? You're making me feel very, very hungry now at this stage. The number 15 car we see slow out on the racetrack. LEXUS ran very, very well early on, but had some difficulties Friday.
Yeah, yes, feels like yesterday.
Yeah, they're doing a full broadcast in that same pit garage as well.
A pit stop.
Yes.
Yeah, pit stop for the GTD.
Rubber bits that fell out of the car when it pulled away, and that did not happen with the sister car. One further,
they're probably a little bit better setup overall. So, but I mean, who knows? We might get a little bit more out of it. So.
Well, thanks very much, the cool Spaniard, and I don't know. He should have joined me in singing "Happy Birthday" to Tommy, I think.
Well, yeah, get the atmosphere whipped up down there, Andrew Marriott. Drama for one of the 2 Mazdas. The Team Yerst cars is well alight, and IMSA officials very quickly on the scene with fire extinguishers. Now, is that the 55 or the 77? We can't actually tell from this distance.
It's the 55 car, but it's got the black shark fin.
Right. Well, there you go, but I mean,
that was the car that was running moderately well too.
In the race, officially retired. We'll have to try and get some reaction from
issues there, but boy, that's the big decision for Wayne Taylor to make, to pull that car out of the race. Simply from safety standpoint, that's the last thing you want to. Well, it's the last thing you want to, but obviously the first one, because safety does come first. But it is so strange that car is suffering all the problems, and touch wood, at least the Action Express car's not so.
No.
By the way, I'm wondering why the number 86 car in GT, but she's still running in 3rd place in the class. Concerned to Wayne Taylor, so withdrew that car from the race. Of course, here's a replay of. That's a replay of what happened between the number 38 car and Catherine Legg, who was running in the 2nd or 3rd of the class in GT Daytona.
No further action on that.
No further action.
I just dived into the infield and had a quick tour around the infield. The parties were still going on.
Still going on
at
4:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
and then since then, they've had, according to Wayne, they've had a string of them. Right. There was one more, which is what forced Renger to drive that car through the infield and back to the pit lane. It was after that they decided no more. We've seen 4 failures for that car. Whether there are any more, I don't know, because I was away for some
moment. And in fact, wasn't that the cheer was telling us it had just gone behind the wall there? That's why I can't see it. The 58 Porsche, Robert Renard. This was the car that had the strange incident on the formula of the field and turning very respectable laps indeed. This time around a 150.4, but obviously many laps down has turned in. Now, corner they've got. Call. Yeah, good call.
So 5 hours after the restart, that was where the pit's probably not yet, or the we haven't packed up behind the safety.
I'm sorry, we've been having a few technical issues with my pack, and in fact, I've been calling you with stories for the last quarter of an hour and you haven't been hearing me. But
no, I had to turn you down, Andrew, because there was too much noise from you. Somebody had left the mic open or was coming through, and nobody was turning it off, so it was deafening up here, so that's why we had to do that. Just the 5 car, I think, has just gone behind the wall. That's the leader and gone to the garage. So that's something.
Hopefully with some more stories.
Yeah.
Right away, didn't they? So it could be something relatively routine, but certainly that way there's. I mean, that's the advantage of having earning that position through that qualifying session they had at the Raw test a few weeks ago. Whoever was fastest in that test was allocated the pit lane, the pit stall closest to the entrance into the garage area. And they're in the first garage. Okay, the car's already been pushed out of the garage. So
yeah, so that was planned maintenance, wasn't it?
Presumably, yep.
And you should come to straight to the pit box and perform their service, and the pace car is in NASCAR too.
Yeah, so he's going to have lost.
Well, Andrew Marion can give us the details of what happened there with this car.
And now they're refueling it, taking a tear off from the windscreen, and the car will be back in the race. So
that Continental Tire reports. So just over 6 hours to go. We're on the...
running pretty hot, so the team just wanted to check that. Needed a few more people, and...
That's bad news for the competition. The number 64
sorry,
Ferrari,
that's...
I don't know, well, I guess maybe Bill just got lapped shortly before the caution.
Lane when it was open for both classes after everybody else had had their opportunity.
1 lap ahead of the leading Truman Aiken Challenger, the 54 Court Autosport 3 Corvette, and the 2 Fords still separated by not much at all. Dirk Muller and Ryan Briscoe, but now Mike Rockefeller back on the lead lap.
Well, no, he's always been on the lead lap, John.
Right.
He's always been on the lead lap, but now he's right with the 2 Fords.
Right.
So now, with 6 hours to go, we'll see what they do have in relation to the Fords. The number 66 and 67 exchanged places, by the way, during that pit stop.
Okay.
Green flag.
And we are back to racing down towards the first corner onto the infield, the huge field of prototype cars. And I've just found a flaw in my plan. Put the Rolex cap on and realised that I then couldn't get the binoculars on underneath it. I just poked myself in the eye. That's good. I'm not getting blinded by the sun, but I'm blinding myself with my thumb, which I've just put in my eye as it deflected down from the binoculars.
It's a hazardous life, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, no wonder I can't get insured. Down towards the far side of the circuit from us, that's the West Hairpin, the West Horseshoe, should I say, and the leader has got away. It's a perfect restart from Christian Fittipaldi with Mike Conway in behind.
Not so perfect for one of the 2 Acuras. Number 7 car has turned around. That's Graham Rahal. He's a full 9 laps behind the next car ahead of him, and just 1 lap ahead of the number 6 car currently driven by Simon Pagina. Didn't see what happened, but it was certainly pretty busy down there at the International Horseshoe.
Yeah, it was that first opening lap. And one thing's going to be interesting, Jeremy, to see what lap times Colin can do in the core Autosport 54 car. He's right behind the 5 car here. If he can get one of these laps back, you know, by passing the 5 car, how much pressure can he put on him? We know those guys are maybe having potentially overheating problems going on, and I know Colin's been pretty quick here lately.
Yeah, beautiful time of day. Temperature still very temperate. Hasn't been that cold at all overnight, even in the wee small hours. There was plenty of partying going on. And great atmosphere. No sign of the promised showers on the weather radar, and currently 67 degrees Fahrenheit in the air. That's 19 degrees Celsius, 65 on the track. That's about 18 degrees Celsius.
The 2 race leaders now heading out towards the kick are separated by Colin Brown in car number 54.
Trying to get a lap back.
Trying to get a lap back, yeah. It's going to be interesting to see whether he's able to do that, whether he is allowed to do that by the race leader, currently Christian Fittipaldi.
Christian will want to keep him behind because he's being a nice bit of trouble, just being making the lap times. Lando Norris has brought the 23 United Autosports car in, and that car has gone behind the wall. Has led the race on a couple of occasions, once with Fernando Alonso behind the wheel. That's Stroll, wasn't he, behind the wheel? Or was it Lando?
That's the other car.
That was the other car. It must have been Lando
Norris, yeah. I think Alonso led the race as well.
Yeah, definitely. Alonso did, and I think Lando did as well.
Yeah, he did. And he was brilliant in the wet, Lando Norris, particularly impressive.
So, cars sound great when it's dark as well, as Owen and I were popping down to his car so that he could go get a little bit of a rest. 4 o'clock this morning. Cars were crackling in the
They sound better
darkness.
at night, don't they?
I think
That's
they
what
do.
we were at before.
Could be a bit of a joker in the pack there, because the last thing that leading
Absolutely.
trio will want is to have that car chasing through them.
Absolutely.
A moment or two ago at the exit of turn 5. That is
It's one of the
Porsche.
Porsches.
In this show here, I think Sean Heckman's got to be the star performer. He's the one that makes this happen. But you know, Spencer stayed up the whole time because Sean just felt
up. It's not.
It's still
it's not
counting
progressing.
down.
He's still doing 611 laps for the leader. He's done at least 2 since then.
Oh, that's interesting because the countdown clock is about right. Problem on the infield for the 51. So that's the bus stop, isn't it? Yeah. The 51 car, and that's Paul Dallalana from 5th place. The affable Canadian, unless someone's giving him a tap. Looks like all the tyres are holding air, but there's a tyre rub on the right rear.
We've got a new leader.
As through goes Christian Fittipaldi. Where are they on the track, Jeremy?
Where's number 31 car there? I think he's ahead of him.
He's not in the pit lane, so let's pick up the red car.
They're coming down through turn 6, coming back onto the speedway here.
Thank you very much, Ewan. So you need to driver's eyes for this.
Yeah, 6:17 laps, that's better.
Up on the timing tower, 6:18 laps on there, 5:31, 32 and 54, but it's Colin Brass coming down the pit lane, and the 86 Trent Hinman car.
3 more seconds on that last lap, I think.
Oh, he's got a problem.
Yeah,
he lost 3 seconds.
So not on consecutive laps. So the last, it was 4.1.
And Andrew Marriott down in the pit lane. Continental pit lane team. Good morning, Joe Bradley. Just have a quick word with him as he's heading towards the pit lane. Are you feeling anywhere near rested?
I wouldn't go that far. Barely hit.
Thank you.
And there's quite a bit of steam around. Of course, they've got 5 or 6 people, a couple of people from ECR Engines are here, and they're the ones that are actually pumping the water in. There's a lot of running around. They're going to jack the back up now, probably just to try and get a bit more.
So Roman Dumas has been unleashed on the race circuit after a great run from Colin Brown. And with the Cadillacs, dare I say this, with the Cadillacs, the remaining 2 Cadillacs, because we've got 2 Cadillacs out of the race.
Deck above the machine, they've got the car up on a jack, and I'm being sort of ushered out of the way, and everyone obviously on high alert here, and so they're continuing to do this, John, so this is losing more time. Surely it's...
I'm pretty certain that Shea told us that, and that car's not been in for its penalty yet, I don't think.
And they will be arguing.
So that's the 7th place car, Chris Meese behind the wheel.
Oh, you'll have to tell me because you've got the timing screen. Must have dropped 2 laps at least. It brings
620th lap.
Mike Conway has just clicked through on his 621st.
Okay, so he's 1 behind now.
So 369.3 seconds.
The car fired. It eked away a couple of team members at the rear wing, giving it a bit of a push just to help it on its way. And then
comes across the line to complete lap 623.
So he's lost a lap now. Different circuit, and then we're on the streets of Long Beach. My goodness, that's a really...
are so wildly different
There's
than
nothing
anything
like that
we know. And again, we communicate prior to the
those
race.
compounds are they allowed to use? Is that free?
No, it is not unlimited. There is for each race a allocation that is set forth from IMSA that they need to follow.
As I said, this is perfect because we're in the middle of pit stops at the moment, so I'm just checking what's going on out in the circuit too. Adam Christodoulou has just gone back to the lead of GT Daytona, by the way, passing Frank Bruder only tyre. Not obviously GT Le Mans, you know how that works, but you're taking on the other categories as well, and some of the developers
that have different personalities for the different manufacturers. We've actually had people remark to us because, you know, we've got Lee Willard down working in the Corvette pits right now, and John Church working in the Ford pits, and they happen to be the tire designers for Ford Performance and Corvette and the Corvette street cars. And
for the folks that are out there, you could go look up GTMGTLM Ted Giovannis is doing some great things for cancer research. I know
just about to say.
Bring it up to speed a little bit. We've had pit stops by the leaders. This unscheduled stop 5 laps after the long stop for that car, which with the overheating. Then they changed driver. Pereira, that was about 10 laps ago, and since then Pereira has extended his gap of was about 5 seconds now, as you just said, to 13 seconds over Trent Hindman. Brian Sellers another 8 seconds further back. Behind him, Lucas Stoltz has taken over from Adam Christodoulou in number 33.
But still on that lead.
But still on the lead lap. And Frankie Montecalvo as well. That's on our screen right now. Frankie Montecalvo has just gone a lap down the goal of Winkelhock in number 44 car.
Let's head down for a Continental Tire pit lane update. Joe Bradley in the pits in the mid-morning here, 10:05 here at Daytona. Joe, what do you have?
It's the number 32 Ligier United.
Mr. Bradley, he may well have had a street car, but Carlson took a clutch. But he's had to start on the start was enough.
See, I did hear, actually, I think you were reading out a tweet from Continental, sort of basically throwing the teams under the bus, which I thought was bang out of order, if I'm really honest, because I know from personal experience, there's no way a team's going to be going out there. Maybe for qualifying, you'll cheat the cambers in order to get a bit of performance, but every that, John. Is he trying to poison you?
I know what's been in.
2 hours to go.
Last couple of pit stops.
Until you get into the last couple of pit stops, and then you're looking, obviously, towards the end, you're really beginning to work out where you're at on your fuel mileage. You try and obviously come and take your pit, because they've certainly slowed it down since I first raced here in '99.
2,760.960 miles, and the low 719 laps. Nowadays, it's 776 laps, and we're on course to do something around Porsche 935.
Jeremy's era, isn't it?
Hopefully, we'll get the result.
And when you sit on that plane going back to England and reflect on all this, what are you going to think?
We've done, everything we can. All the drivers have worked their asses off, and obviously everybody in the team is also, So, if we can get the result in the end, it means a hell of a lot to us.
Highlight of your career so far, Stuart.
Yeah, it's got to be.
So maybe next year. Maybe next year would be great for you.
Thanks, Andrew.
It's just a couple or 3/10 a lap
of the Daytona prototypes, and so they were obviously struggling for reliability.
Yeah, that was the first year of the Gen 1 cars as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we threw away a couple of points yesterday, I gather. Home draw to Northampton, we were down towards the bottom of the table, so that was disappointing. Number 5 car's just been in the pits again, and what's interesting about that is
by the team. So I just wonder, not necessarily to put Mike Shank on air, but if we can just find out whether there was a penalty and it was talked away, or fuel on the last lap here. Getting inside the last couple of pit stops now.
Yeah, we're getting there. We're 3 1/4 out.
And we are being like that for another 3 hours because of the engine temperature, but
revs up too high because he's really aware of engine temp, and I watched him all the way leaving the pits, and normally as they go on the pit exit line you see them release the pit lane speed and the car sort of jumps forward and then they start tearing off down the pit exit road, and he was positively pedestrian leaving the pits, so clearly just trying to do everything they can to make sure they don't overheat that engine.
There's some type of divine intervention, so we're going to stick around. Might be a little bit of weather. We've seen this many, many times before. The last hour of this race, anything can happen. We never give up.
Well, that's off at the Western Horseshoe, comes through the dog leg and gets in, and we've got the leaders together.
Yeah, we have. Yes, as we see that Lexus nosing off that.
And actually we have the 2 leaders at this phase in the race from GTD in on the same lap, Cheyenne.
It was a driver change, fuel and tires for the number 11, the Lamborghini that came in from the lead. Now he's been cleared to go further up the pit lane. It is the 86, the Acura from Michael Shank Racing that came in. I did not see a driver change there, although the door is open, and there's a mechanic who looks like he's possibly changing a drinks bottle. They are
so sort of stabilised now between number 54, Core Autosport. Whoops. A bit of contact between that was the Paul Miller Lamborghini force off the road.
That's the 48 car that is about to get a clonk from our onboard car. Was that
fast yet? But it was over a minute, I think, between those 2 cars. I have to wait to he's on the back straight now on tour, so I'll come back to that one. But certainly Ricky Taylor has been flying now between the 9th and 10th place cars.
Let's get a an update from Andrew Marriott down at the pit lane. You are at that seems to be the way things are played in modern day motorsport. You give the brand new pilot at least tyres that they're used to, so it might be some, you know, tyres that Joey's seen previously in the race, or brand new Michelin. And I'm thinking they've held some back now for this phase. Richard Westbrook in the 67 car, probably to pit on the next lap. Let's get
other way around. He pitted the lap
previous lap. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so that will now shake back out again, and that 14.6 second lead will come way down.
And the Corvette in third place was in a couple of laps before that.
Yeah, okay. So everyone more or less on the same strategy now, but there are laps apart, number 66. Then finally a little bit of luck again to the 67. And remember, it's a much longer wait for the 67 chassis, excuse me, since its last victory. Mossball
in that car. I mean, he's just done 25 laps since his last pit stop, which is 3 laps longer than they were going when the cars
your opponents.
That's exactly right, Johnny Palmer. And the Loic Duval car has now moved up into second place because of that pit stop for the number 31 of Felipe Nasser, who's had an hour and 52 minutes to go. That's going to need 2 more full stops for the 31 car, and potentially 3 for number 54, which is going to be in fairly soon. 2, 3.
Down here at the 48 with Madison Snow, this circuit is not particularly infractious. It's not complicated, but why is it so exhausting?
I don't know. I'm wondering the same thing, because I was just back in the motorhome. I was watching the show on TV and fell asleep and woke up and realized I should be down here in pit lane. It's something.
Jeremy, do you stay
2 more stops in it, because now you need a stop now and then another one in 40 minutes time to get to the end.
Yes,
yeah. And so it's 2 full stops plus a splash, I think, for the number 45 car.
Personally,
a bit more than splash.
Personally, I'd stretch the full window and hope for yellow.
And also the 86 car onto pit lane. The other contenders in that class, the number 48 was in just a couple of laps ago.
Question marks being asked regarding the various bits of side-to-side contact on the infield. Remember Catherine Legg?
Is a race, but at the same time, right now, particularly with all the problems with the other Cadillacs, the Cadillac brass will be saying,
yeah,
having made what will be, no, it'll still need 1 more stop before the end of this race. So it is resuming. Where's number 66? I think it's just gone past, hasn't it? Is that it heading into turn 1 now? Difficult to see the colours. Yes, it is. So there's about
we were doing 1 minute 46 and 47. So I said, is that just trying to waste us? Once the checkered flag is out to greet the finishers, the 3 class winners, the cusp of history this year at the Daytona. 24 hours, 768 laps now completed by race leader Philippe Albuquerque. Very shortly, it'll be Action Express Racing back to the top 2 positions, because Colin Brown, who last stopped on lap 746, must be due in the next. Thank you, Shay. And here at RS2 IMSA Radio, we have our weather spotters.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. No, well, that's the thing, isn't it?
Anything can happen in the next hour and 4 minutes.
Yeah.
And if that weather's coming, it probably will.
Yeah, the cloud is looking thicker and darker than perhaps it has for the last certainly 8 hours or so. Remember, different cloud cover worked its way across the Daytona International Speedway. Remember, John Hindhaugh and Johnny Molan were on because of speeding in the pit lane. That will mean a drive-through penalty for car 78, which is the Jackie Chan DCR Jota ORECA.
So that is a battle that could change before the end of this race of 99, chasing after the 85.
Mirko Bortolotti brings the number 11 Grasser Racing Team Lamborghini in order, though, as we always get during the pit stops. This should see the GT Daytona cars for the Dutchman, and Blake 2 Chevrolet Corvettes, 3 ahead of 4, but it's the 67 which arguably is due a win more, thinking, am I going to actually make the finish?
That's right, that's right.
But Blake Mullen, I'm being told, never won this race. Likewise, Philippe Albuquerque never won this race. He came very close. Not sure he won overall in the Pro. Yeah, it was a class win, but that's very different from winning overall. And he came very, very close last year. Of course, the 5 car in contact with the 10 12 months ago when Philippe Albuquerque was on course for an overall victory. And the Ford's formation flying as they have been for the whole of the race are now stopping on the same lap.
Is this race, Johnny, going to come down to how quickly those pit crews turn those cars around?
And the race leaders in too.
The GTLM battle is right there.
Here's Diana Binks, who's got the 5 very close to her. You'll be able to see the Ford stopping as well.
Yeah, the number 5 is in the pit lane. It's definitely a splash and dash and a change of tyres. No driver change. They're staying with the driver in the car, and that will be Philippe Albuquerque. He's not getting out. So changing the wheels. They're both coming together. Actually, the 31 is just lined up just behind them, but I think the number 5 is going to get out first. They now are just firing the car up. Slight hesitation on the firing up.
Last year, remember, they were Formula Le Mans cars from 2009 and were prone to the odd breakdown, I think it's fair to say, and that might be, again, as Joe was making the point earlier on, the reason trick, as his teammate Christian Fittipaldi is as well. Philippe Albuquerque, yes, he does have a Rolex in his possession for a class win previously.
For the number 29 Monteplast Audi, who will be making his way as earnestly as he can without wanting to damage the car further.
Former race leader, remember, in GTD, the 29 car, and Kelvin van der Linde was shadowing Andy Lally's every move. Gores the canvas there as well, so yes, you're probably right. Section off the tyre that is
into the braking area for the chicane there. So out of the bus stop, all the dice, no more. He's had a call in, and he rolls down the pit lane now. His team await. There's the board being waved. It's only fuel going in, no tyres. So the refueler goes on. We truly do see the genius in that calculation there from the Action Express team. Just ticked by 5 minutes to go now. 804 laps completed by the leader. In first place in the GTLM class, still the number 67. Ryan Briscoe, driven Ford GT, and he's got just under 13 seconds from the second Ford GT of Joey Hand. And the GTD class, car number 11, it's the Lamborghini of Mirko Bortolotti, Grasser Racing.
Number 7, ACURA Team Penske of Ricky Taylor coming off the turn 4 up towards a tri-oval, and he is about 7 seconds or so ahead of Juan Pablo Montoya, who I think probably wants to redress that balance. Who's Montoya? He's already gone. Right, okay, missed that. Yeah, it's just 5 seconds between those two, heading in the final couple of laps.
Yeah, and both cars are on the infield section now, roughly around the International Horseshoe, having just completed their 789th laps.
And they've completed more than a dozen laps more than the old distance record here as well. Yeah. So the top 10 are probably going to have already eclipsed. Well, no, the top 115 have eclipsed that mark. Pretty remarkable.
That shouldn't be ignored either. The might that is Team Penske bringing 2 Acura DPIs to the Rolex this year, their first year bringing Acura to the race, and we've seen Acura, of course, represented in GT Daytona, but great to bolster the prototype ranks to a full 20 entries for this year's race. And they haven't had it all their own way, but certainly Helio Castroneves' car at times very easily, I was going to say, taking the fight to the Cadillacs. What I mean is the Acura has shown very similar speed to the might of the Cadillac and the Dallara chassis. So we're therefore set for a close season between those two cars, particularly on the shorter distance races. I think Acura paying at the moment for their reliability problems, but that's always going to be a teething issue, I suppose, in the early stages of a campaign. And Roger Penske and his crew will get that ironed out come the middle of 2018. I was going to say the end of the season, but we sorted out, I'm sure, and they will have learned an awful lot of stuff. Indeed, well, they've got a couple of months to go away now, maybe do a little bit more development work, but a 24-hour race doesn't half build up the data. They can work out how to fix those little niggly problems as well on the fly far better. Inside the final 3 minutes now, leader Philippe Albuquerque is about to come through the tri-oval with 2 minutes left on the clock, so I should say he's about to start his penultimate lap here, Jeremy Shaw.
Indeed, and he's just been overtaken by number 54 car of Colin Brown. That means we now have 3 cars on the lead lap, because yes, it won't be white flag this time, it'll be next time, won't it? So he's still limping around. 1 minute 45 he's doing, 44 45, so racing leader Philippe Albuquerque and Colin Brown now. Colin Brown's only 20 seconds behind Stuart Middleton for second position, with a tremendous comeback drive by the number 84 team.
An historic race here at the Daytona International Speedway, kicking off yet another season of WeatherTech Sports Car Championship racing. Fabulous year in 2017, and we obviously always look forward to this race. It's the biggest event of the season that kicks things off, and Action Express Racing have had good form in the past. Likewise, Joao Barbosa and Christian Fittipaldi having taken victory on 2 separate occasions previously. Philippe Albuquerque has tasted the champagne at class level and already has a Rolex watch in his possession, but this is going to mean a whole lot more to take the overall victory in that number 5 Mustang sampling Action Express car. So looking very much like a 3rd victory for the Action Express outfit, but credit to Stuart Middleton, who's been sharing that 31 car with the rest of the regulars at Whelan Engineering Racing. Eric Curran, Mike Conway done a splendid job, and Felipe Nasser as well, with some lengthy stints during the night.
Yeah, and in GT Daytona, after making that late pit stop, can Jerome Blekemolen get back onto the Andrea Caldarelli at the wheel of the Paul Miller Racing Lamborghini?
So that's the principally black Lambo, number 48, as the white flag is displayed now for Philippe Albuquerque, and this will be 808 laps then completed very shortly by Philippe Albuquerque of Portugal, sharing with countryman Joao Barbosa and Brazilian Christian Fittipaldi. 2 of those guys having won this race before. Philippe Albuquerque, as I say, with a class win already under his belt, with Stuart Middleton, by virtue of winning effectively a points competition through the course of the British motorsport season. He took British GT4 honours with Will Tregurtha in British GT. Stuart Middleton getting this drive in the Whelan Engineering Cadillac. I really don't think he came here expecting to finish on the podium, and indeed on the lead lap of this record-breaking race. It's dreams come true for the young man from Ashington in the northeast of England. Colin Brown flying the flag for the global LMP2 squad, with their ORECA from Core Autosport in 3rd position, ahead of the Ligier of United Autosports, and then this long line of further ORECAs, the 78, the 85, the 99 and the 38 completing the top 8. Ford GT, absolutely metronomic in their preparation. Remember, Chip Ganassi is the Grand Marshal this year at Daytona, as we look to NASCAR Turn 4 and await Philippe Albuquerque to cross the line after 24 hours and 808 laps. It's victory then to Action Express Racing and to Philippe Albuquerque. Joao Barbosa and Christian Fittipaldi will wait for the Fords to cross the line in a moment or two as well. They're about 10 seconds apart between 67 and 66, but Diana Binks, I'm sure, is very close to Action Express Racing and ready to get some reaction for us. GTD still undecided for 3rd position. It's tight between Caldarelli and Jerome Blekemolen. Here's Diana.
Joel, many congratulations. What does this mean to you in 2018? Fantastic.
What a start. That was like the longest hours in my life. We had quite some issues with the car, but man, this team is just amazing. It was just phenomenal. We were managing the pace, managing the car. It was definitely not easy, but man, what a win. It was a long time coming. Oh my gosh, I'm so proud of these guys. Action Express, the whole Mustang sampling Cadillac program has been so phenomenal. It's, I have no words. I'm super happy.
See, you're absolutely delighted and speechless. Congratulations to you and the team.
And Christian Fittipaldi, of course, very much a role as a driver, but also an organisation role this year as well, continuing that on as he steadily makes a step away from driving. We didn't get the change for third position in the end. It was tight at the line between Andrea Caldarelli and the 48 Lamborghini and the 33 Jeroen Bleekemolen Mercedes that required that late splash. We still haven't seen Mirko Bortolotti across the line, though, to confirm a win for the number 11 GRT Grasser crew, and they're going to be side by side, the two Austrian Lamborghini Huracans. That's a first win ever for Lamborghini as a mark in a 24-hour race to add to the history of the 56th running of this Daytona 24 hours. Straight back down to Diana Binks.
Christian, many congratulations. We've spoken to Joel. What does this mean to you and the team?
Wow.
It was a close one today. You came in second.
Yeah, I mean, good 1-2 for the team. Yeah, I mean, all cars fought really hard for every position that they got. So, yeah, we'd obviously love to be winning as well, but great result for the team. Really happy. And yeah, I mean, these are so hard, these races, to just finish on that.
Meanwhile, on RS2 IMSA Radio, we can continue with our debrief. Still looking for some reaction from the 54 car, if possible. We certainly have had conversation with our overall winner and the GTLM winner as well, the 67 car. Great to hear from Rick Brokers down at the 11 crew too. But car 54 making the overall podium, remember, in that ORECA from Core Autosport, and a tremendous drive from Colin Brown to get the car over the line. Loic Duval, very impressive indeed, and